Chapter 770. Time passed slowly. Outside, Tai Jian and the other three had finished searching the 4 caves. Mujan Tian came out from the first cave that Lin Yu gave up. I don't have any here either. Out of the 7 caves, 4 are empty. Could it be that they didn't hide in the caves? Impossible. Shan Qingling is injured and they're being chased by us. They can't be in the open. They must have found a place to hide. Seems like they should be in the remaining 3 caves. Tai Jian judged and locked on to another direction. Lin Yu raised his head from Shan Qingling's shoulder. Are you done? The pain had obviously lessened, and Shan Qingling's consciousness was clear again. But the clearer her consciousness was, the more embarrassed Shan Qingling felt at this moment. She had taken off her shoulder and let a man suck on her skin for several hours. If the people of the 22 Seas knew about this, where would she put her face as the Ocean Lord? What do you think? Lin Yu asked. Shan Qingling's pretty face recovered and was already rosy. There seems to be a little more. Why ask when you know? Lin Yu said indifferently. Shan Qingling pursed her lips and cursed Lin Yu in her heart. I'm being taken advantage of by you. What's wrong with asking? Why is this man so annoying? Shan Qingling looked and saw Lin Yu sucking the poison out of her body seriously. Although it made her feel ashamed, Lin Yu was indeed treating the place where the poison had spread. But Lin Yu didn't tell her at first. Shan Qingling took the pill hastily, which caused the poison to spread even more. Be gentle, Shan Qingling said softly and nodded again. She had always been a high and mighty goddess. In the past, she was the pearl of the 22 Ocean Lords. Like Fanjinjin, she was the moon surrounded by stars. But Shan Qingling's life wasn't as good as Fanjinjin's. Her father died, and she supported the 22 Seas on her own. It was this kind of noble birth and unapproachable personality that made no man enter Shan Qingling's eyes. However, Shan Qingling felt something she had never felt before in front of Lin Yu. Are you all right? I became very strange. Shan Qingling asked in a pleading tone. Her cultivation was not strong, and she had bumped into many obstacles along the way. In this sequence battle, she was bullied just like she was a few hours ago. If they hadn't met Lin Yu, Shan Qingling would have been caught by them already. Thinking of this, Shan Qingling subconsciously placed her hands on Lin Yu's shoulders. But with this touch, that strange feeling swam through her body even more. It seems like the law of lightning is on me. What Shan Qingling wanted to say was that she felt as if she had been electrocuted. Lin Yu naturally knew what the situation was, but now was not the time to be entangled in such matters between men and women. There were still 4 strong enemies outside waiting for him to kill them. After absorbing all the poison, Lin Yu withdrew his mouth from Shan Qingling. Shan Qingling remained silent for a long time and only spoke after Lin Yu left. Thank you. Shan Qingling immediately put on her clothes. The scene just now still lingered in her mind and was unforgettable. It's about time. You should be able to recover in a few hours after taking the pill. After all, it wasn't an internal injury, but more of a poison. Therefore, Shan Qingling was only left with some minor injuries now that the poison was gone. Lin Yu also wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I understand. Shan Qingling didn't dare to delay. She immediately took the pill to recover her combat strength as soon as possible. At the same time, she said, they should be here soon. We can't hide here for long. Of course, this is the territory of the First Sea. Tai Jian should be very familiar with it. Lin Yu also knew that it was only a matter of time before Tai Jian and the others found them. At this moment, there was a sound coming from outside. Lin Yuan knew that the sound inside had stopped. He judged that the 2 were done and walked in. Master, Su Longxiang passed by just now. He saw you. Lin Yuan nodded. I was worried that if I stopped him, it would cause a bigger fluctuation, so I didn't kill him. Well, that kid has a grudge against me. It seems that he has brought people here now. Lin Yu smiled. He had no intention of moving his position. Looking at this scene, Shan Qingling was a little stunned. She heard clearly that Lin Yuan just called Lin Yu master. What an ambiguous title. Could it be that this man likes men, so he is so fierce to me? Thinking of this, Shan Qingling couldn't help but shiver. Lin Yu didn't know that she was thinking about this. Shan Qingling said, "You guys go quickly, otherwise Tai Jian will not let you go. When I recover, I will find a way to escape." But after Shan Qingling finished speaking, she saw that Lin Yu didn't respond. "Are you planning to fight Tai Jian head-on?" She was surprised. Why did he face Tai Jian and the other four-symbol state? But Lin Yu gave her the feeling that he had the kind of strategizing and even looked forward to fighting. There was also Lin Yuan. There was a kind of tyrannical and violent aura on his body, as if it was not an aura that a human could have at all. It was more like the violence of a monster beast. "Aren't you afraid at all?" Shan Qingling asked in a dry voice. "What are you afraid of?" Lin Yu raised the corners of his mouth, but he was too lazy to explain more. At first, he wanted to find others to snatch Haiju. Now that these people delivered themselves to his door, he couldn't be happier. After that, outside the cave, 5 auras suddenly descended. "Su Longxiang, are you sure you didn't see wrong?" "Yes, Brother Tai Jian. Longxiang only asked you to let me live. That Lin Yu is inside." "Su Longxiang, you have a good plan. You want to live, and you want to borrow our hands to avenge you?" "Brother Situ, don't laugh at me. Isn't it because you want to deal with Lin Yu?" "Longxiang, this is just a small matter. The sequence battle of the several big brothers is a big deal." Zhuge Lingyun sneered. "Okay, step back, the guy with the broken hand, so as not to hurt you, but is that Lin Yu really so powerful that he can cut off your hand? How can Lin Yu be more powerful than the several big brothers? At that time, I was sneak attacked by him." Su Longxiang said Ba with one hand and stomped his feet at the same time, with a look of unwillingness on his face. Muzhan Tian just sneered and didn't speak. At that time, he was present. How could he not know that Lin Yu defeated Su Longxiang fair and square? However, he wouldn't say it out loud, otherwise it would make Tai Jian and the others timid, and he wouldn't be able to achieve his goal. In the current state, he pretended not to know and used the 4 people here to get rid of Lin Yu and his group, and they would be stable in the top 4. This is a big deal. Chapter 771. Lin Yu, get out. The long sword in situ, Xiu's hand swept across, and the sharp sword energy hit the cave, immediately shattering the outer entrance. And the shattered cave entrance was instantly shaken out by a gust of Yao Qi. Gravel shot towards the 5 people. The 5 people narrowed their eyes slightly, and their figures moved at the same time. The gravel smashed into the place where they were originally standing, and it actually smashed out several big pits. The 5 people looked into the cave at the same time. From there, 2 figures slowly walked out. One was Lin Yuan, and the other was Lin Yu. It's too risky for them to do this. Shan Qingling also noticed the sound from the cave entrance, and her white teeth clenched tightly. "Forget it. My life was saved by him, and I will return it to you." After saying that, Shan Qingling also followed out of the cave house. She didn't guess wrong. The other 5 people all came. "Lin Yu, your Haiju, are you going to give it to me yourself? Or do you want me to take it?" Tai Jian's voice was full of command. The aura of the 4-symbol state surrounded Tai Jian's body, which was the strongest state present. But Lin Yu was not afraid at all, and just spread his hands. "Why should I give it to you?" Tai Jian sneered, as if he had already regarded Lin Yu as a dead man. If he wasn't afraid of Lin Yuan's combat power, which could kill Jiang Bihan in seconds, he would have taken down Lin Yu and the Haiju in his hands. "I have already decided. Me, Sidu Xiu, Zhuge Lingyun, and Mu Zhantian are the winners this time." Tai Jian's overbearing words came, and at the same time, he stared coldly at Lin Yu, like an eagle staring at its prey. "Lin Yu, do you have any opinion?" As his voice fell, the 5 people burst out with tyrannical combat power at the same time. Except for Su Longxiang, the other 4 people all had the combat power of the 4-symbol state. This scene made Shan Qingling's face pale a little more. How can they win against such a strong opponent? She may not even be Mu Zhantian's opponent, but the others were not easy to provoke. In fact, Shan Qingling felt that Tai Jian alone was enough to deal with the 3 of them. Lin Yu. Shan Qingling wanted to persuade Lin Yu to run, but she only saw the calmness on Lin Yu's face. Also, the excitement on Lin Yuan's face. These two people are crazy. Shan Qingling was extremely nervous because she knew that the battle would begin at any moment. However, at this moment, facing the five powerhouses, Lin Yu only smiled faintly. It was as if he didn't care about the life and death crisis in front of him. You can decide who will win the first battle. Fun, fun. Lin Yu's voice was heard. Everyone narrowed their eyes and heard him say, I also want to decide internally. I will be first, Lin Yuan will be second, and Shan Qingling will be third. What do you think? Impudent. Who do you think you are? You dare to be like Big Brother Taijian? Su Longxiang was the first to add insult to injury. Big Brother Taijian, if you don't get rid of this kid, where will your face be in the future? Hearing this, Mu Zhantian smiled. He knew that Lin Yu was trying to take advantage of the situation and was probably tired of living. Big Brother Taijian, Big Brother Situ, Big Brother Zhuge. Did this Lin Yu kick all three of you out of the top three? Mu Zhantian added fuel to the fire. The three of them also had a gloomy face, and their expressions revealed killing intent. Taijian stared at Lin Yu, and a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This appearance was something that the others had seen before. That was the look of Taijian. Big Brother Taijian is angry. This Lin Yu, it seems that not only will he die today, but he will also die very painfully. Everyone sneered. Shan Qingling had just recovered from her injuries, and now she was already a little weak in the face of such a situation. You also want to make the decision? Taijian stared at Lin Yu, and his face gradually became ferocious. Why not? Lin Yu smiled slowly, without the slightest fear on his face. Calm, calm. It was a sharp contrast to Taijian's anger that could erupt at any time. It was as if one was a flame, and the other was the water of the deep sea, calm and without any undercurrent. In that case, let's see whose words are more useful. After Taijian said, he waved his hand, and Situ Xiao and Zhuge Lingyun on the side also nodded. Let's go together. After Mu Zhantian finished shouting, he stared at Shan Qingling. This bitch's injury is actually healed. Did Lin Yu and Lin Yuan heal her? He attacked Shan Qingling. Leave him to me. Shan Qingling also said a few words to Lin Yu, and then faced Mu Zhantian. Even if she felt that she still couldn't win against Mu Zhantian, now that the three of them were facing the biggest enemy in their lives, Shan Qingling knew that she had to contribute. Lin Yuan took the lead to stop the two people. They were the swordsman holding a sword, Situ Xiao, who was at the first level of the four-symbol stage, and Zhuge Lingyun. The judge pen in his hand was also ready to attack at any time. Both of you come together. Lin Yuan hooked his finger, and he actually wanted to fight against two four-symbols stage masters alone. Kid, you are too arrogant. Zhuge Lingyun waved the judge pen, and Situ Xiao's sword energy also erupted. Well, let me see how powerful a person with heaven-grade aptitude is. Take my sword. The battle between the two sides broke out in an instant. Lin Yu had a headache. Lin Yuan is actually fighting against two people alone. Isn't that showing off? Hey, there are only two of you left. Come together. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and looked at Taijian and Su Longxiang, who was still watching. One arrogant kid. Su Longxiang snorted coldly. But how could he dare to fight against Lin Yu? Instead, he immediately looked at Taijian. Brother Taijian, I'm not his opponent. I'm afraid you have to deal with this kid. But after he finished speaking, Taijian remained motionless. What is this situation? Taijian didn't move, and Lin Yu didn't really make a move. Is it the realm where the enemy doesn't move and I don't move? Su Longxiang was taken aback. Is this a fight between masters? But he didn't know that Taijian's heart was full of doubts at this moment. On the one hand, Lin Yuan really blocked Situ Xiao and Zhuge Lingyun with his own strength. On the other hand, Lin Yu's indifferent feeling throughout the whole process was definitely not an act. In addition to the number of sea pearls he had at the moment, Taijian was sure that Lin Yu also saw the 36 constellations and the 72 earth fiends. Then this kid is as smart as me. Such a person would not be stupid enough to provoke me like this. Is this kid hiding his strength? Taijian thought of this and decided not to make a move, but wait for Lin Yuan to be defeated first, and then use the most reliable 3-on-1 strategy to kill Lin Yu. Brother Tai Jian. Su Longxiang asked again. Since you don't dare to face Lin Yu, then go and help the two of them. Tai Jian signaled with his eyes. After Su Longxiang understood, he saw that Lin Yuan, Situ Xiao, and Zhuge Lingyun were fighting with all their strength. A tyrannical demonic energy erupted from Lin Yuan's body, surrounding Lin Yuan's body, forming an indestructible force. Even Situ Xiao's sword energy was directly received by Lin Yuan with his bare hands several times, not to mention the slightly weaker Zhuge Lingyun. Chapter 772. Damn it, my attack is useless against him? While Zhuge Lingyun was surprised, Lin Yuan's burly body had already punched him. Zhuge Lingyun blocked in front of him with a judge pen. However, under Lin Yuan's punch, this earth-grade killing weapon was directly broken. What kind of power is this? Zhuge Lingyun's eyes widened, and he took a few steps back to stand firm. However, at this moment, when Lin Yuan's attention was on the two people in front of him, Su Longxiang took off his Buddhist beads. When the Buddhist beads were taken off, they twisted and turned into gloomy white skulls. Black gas filled the air, and the skeletal Buddhist beads were hidden inside, bursting toward Lin Yuan at an extremely fast speed. Die for me. Although the person Su Longxiang wanted to kill the most was Lin Yu, now that Tai Jian didn't make a move, how could he dare to deal with Lin Yu by himself? It would be better to join forces to kill Lin Yuan here first, and then a group of people would fight Lin Yu together. That way, Lin Yu would die without a doubt. However, Su Longxiang thought that he would be able to hit Lin Yuan with the skeletal Buddhist beads, but they stopped in mid-air. In front of the black fog, a huge golden Buddhist bell appeared. Taishu 8 divisions, Buddha Jiala. Lin Yu appeared in the Buddhist bell without anyone noticing. He raised his hand and slowly lowered it, and the black fog in front of him dissipated instantly. Golden light burst out with a purifying power and directly shattered all the skeletal Buddhist beads. It was as if Lin Yu's Buddhism was orthodox, and it was specially used to restrain Su Longxiang's heretical path. Boom, boom, boom. The skeletal Buddhist beads exploded one after another. Su Longxiang's face changed drastically, and the power of the backlash poured into his body, causing Su Longxiang to spit out a mouthful of old blood. Another move. This time, he and Lin Yu only exchanged one move, and he was directly defeated. When Su Longxiang was about to escape, he saw a terrifying suction force locking his whole body. The moment this suction force appeared, Su Longxiang had no chance to resist. His body was completely trapped, and his whole body flew backward toward Lin Yu, devouring the starry sky. Lin Yu said slowly. This time, he would not let Su Longxiang escape. The suction force of the devouring starry sky was hundreds of times stronger than his soul-devouring grand art. Furthermore, the soul-devouring grand art could only be used on opponents whose divine wills were damaged and weaker than his own. However, the devouring starry sky was different. Lin Yu could clearly feel that this supernatural power could purify Su Longxiang's cultivation and make it his own. It was even more tyrannical than the fusion symbol between his eyebrows. No, no. Su Longxiang's face was filled with horror. He could clearly feel that all of his strength was being sucked away by Lin Yu. This feeling was as if his blood was being sucked dry. With every breath he took, Su Longxiang felt himself getting weaker. Let me go, let me go. My prayer beads are all yours. Lin Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him. He had already let Su Longxiang escape once, and this time, the other party was still courting death. Then they couldn't blame him. In the blink of an eye, Su Longxiang's entire body fell to the ground. There was no sign of life left, and he was deader than dead. Lin Yu could feel that his power had become stronger again. The three elements become one equilibrium realm seems to have reached the critical point. Lin Yu could feel that he could break through to the four symbols realm at any time. Back then, when he was in the Sky Desert universe, Lin Yu already had this feeling. However, at that time, The Sky Desert universe was damaged and did not have enough energy to let him break through to the Four Symbols realm. But it was different here. The boundless sea, even the realm sea, primitive continent, and heaven domain. The world power here was thousands of times stronger than the Sky Desert universe. Not only that, without Ling Zhao surveillance here, Lin Yu judged that it should not attract lightning tribulation anymore. Shaking off Su Longxiang, Lin Yu looked at Tai Jian. At this moment, Tai Jian's back was already inexplicably cold. This Lin Yu, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Tai Jian suddenly realized that Lin Yu's strength had already exceeded his understanding. He could not even feel the other party's cultivation. Could it be because the gap between him and Lin Yu was too big, so big that Tai Jian could not sense the other party cultivation? It's your turn. He calmly took away Su Longxiang's 4 sea pearls and Su Longxiang's storage ring. Lin Yu's current sea pearls had already reached 34. The people outside could not see inside, but they could see the sea pearls ranking. Crazy, crazy. Why does that kid have so many sea pearls? How'd he do it? There are so many heaven's prides inside. Could no one snatch his sea pearls? The second sea regions, Situ, Jingtian, and the fourth sea regions by Yanlang were incomparably astonished. Even Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao were a little shocked. They knew that Lin Yu had hidden his strength and had means to protect himself inside. But they did not expect that Lin Yu would directly rush to first place. Moreover, he had 34 sea pearls, 11 more than Tai Jian. In other words, Lin Yu crushed everyone. Tai Jian, who was in second place, was left in the dust by him. Why? At this moment, Fire Buddha's roar could be heard. He stared at Su Longxiang's ranking. There were 4 sea pearls just now. Why was there none left now? And Lin Yu just happened to have 4 more. Su Longxiang's sea pearls were snatched by Lin Yu? Damn, Su Longxiang is an expert of the 9th Dao equilibrium state. He's only 1 step away from the 4 division state. How did Lin Yu snatch his sea pearls? What's going on inside the volcano trial grounds? I really want to know. Fire Buddha walked over to Fan Tong. What did you make Lin Yu do to our Longxiang? Watch your words. What can 2 men do? Fan Tong snorted. Now that Lin Yu was strong, it meant that the others were more dissatisfied with him. But Fan Tong was happy because this was what it felt like to be envied. He had never experienced it in his life, but today, Lin Yu had given him a taste of it. The trial grounds are all about fairness. What did Lin Yu do to you, Su Longxiang? Fan Tong raised an eyebrow at Grand Preceptor 1. The first Ocean Lord said that everything is fair, and the Supremacy's divine sense is overseeing it. Fire Buddha, are you doubting the Supremacy in Grand Preceptor 1? Grand Preceptor 1 had wanted to test Fan Tong because Lin Yu had surpassed Tai Jian, who knew that Fan Tong would be the first to point the spear at him. This left Grand Preceptor 1 speechless. Hearing Fan Tong use the Supremacy's name to pressure others, Fire Buddha could only swallow his anger. On the other side, the disciples of the 22 Seas were also worried. They didn't have an Ocean Lord overseeing the trial grounds. They were the weakest group, and their Ocean Lord, Shan Qingling, had her sea pearls returned to 0 a few hours ago. Within the volcano trial grounds, Lin Yu slowly approached Tai Jian. Your turn? What is your cultivation level, sir? Tai Jian's expression didn't change, but his right foot took a small step back. Chapter 773. Tai Jian was going to run away. Lin Yu noticed this small movement and raised his hand. However, before he could raise his hand, Tai Jian turned around and ran away without hesitation. With his cultivation base of 4 symbol stage, Lin Yu could defeat him, but it would be difficult to make him stay from such a long distance. He ran so fast. Lin Yu looked helplessly in Lin Yuan's direction. Situ Xiu's sword energy was suppressed by Lin Yuan, and Zhuge Lingyun's combat power was reduced by a lot without the judge's pen. It seems that you don't need my help. Lin Yu looked to the other side again. Shan Qingling was once again beaten back by Mu Zhantian. Although there were no new injuries on her shoulder, because of the big movements in the battle, it seemed to have affected the wound again, and a touch of dark red seeped out. But when Mu Zhantian beat back Shan Qingling, He also saw that the situation was not good. Su Longxiang was dead. Tai Jian ran away. He was not a fool, and of course he knew that something was wrong. Without thinking, he immediately turned around and planned to leave this place. However, he was still too slow, and a hand pressed on his shoulder. Have you heard of this saying? The first person to do it is a genius, and those who follow suit are all fools. Lin Yu's calm voice came, like an emissary from hell. Mu Zhantian's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He had seen Lin Yu defeat Su Longxiang and even cut off one of Su Longxiang's arms. He couldn't deal with this person. Let's forget about today's matter. Let me go. Mu Zhantian braced himself and said, and his figure moved a dozen steps away. Nonsense. Who wants to forget about it with you? Lin Yu raised the corner of his mouth. When he patted Mu Zhantian's shoulder, his blood-sacrifice heart had already entered the other party's body. No, we can't let the tiger return to the mountain. Shan Qingling also saw that Lin Yu's side had won. She didn't have time to think and was about to chase after Mu Zhantian. No need to chase. Why, maybe he will sneak attack us. He's already dead. However, at that moment, Shan Qingling saw Lin Yu slowly raise his hand and casually point at the air. This was triggered by the blood-sacrifice heart refinement. Shan Qingling looked 1,000 feet away and saw the black that had shrunk to the size of an ant suddenly explode into a bloody mist. That was... Mu Zhantian had self-detonated right in front of her. What happened? Shan Qingling was stunned. Not only was Lin Yu able to drive Tai Jian away, but he had also killed Su Longxiang. But now, was he able to insta-kill Mu Zhantian with a single finger? That was a four symbols realm powerhouse. Shan Qingling stared blankly at Lin Yu. Lin Yu had already returned from where Mu Zhantian's corpse was, and he even brought Mu Zhantian's storage ring. Do you have a handkerchief? Lin Yu asked calmly. It was as if he had just picked up an item, and the blood stains on the storage ring and the self-detonation of Mu Zhantian had nothing to do with him. Yes. You? How did you kill him? Shan Qingling only felt that the whole world had been turned upside down. She suddenly realized that she had hit the jackpot. This partner of hers was so strong that it was ridiculous. Receiving the handkerchief from Shan Qingling, Lin Yu wiped Mu Zhantian's storage ring clean, and at the same time, he took away his 10 ocean pearls. Now, Lin Yu's ocean pearls had reached 44. Once again, he pulled away from the rest of the people on the ocean pearl list, and the outside world was once again in an uproar, even in a forbidden area of the First Sea region. Supremacy Wia also opened his eyes. The person above the heaven grade is him. The Supremacy's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already above the volcano trial ground. He looked down below. His divine sense enveloped the entire place. At the beginning, he only left behind his divine sense to count the ocean pearls. And now, he was truly surveying the entire place. And Lin Yu below also felt the arrival of a brand new divine sense. That so-called supremacy came personally to see. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth raised. After dealing with the others, he also saw Situ Xiao and Zhuge Lingyun, who were repeatedly beaten back by Lin Yuan. Damn it, why did Tai Jian leave? That bastard betrayed us, and he was actually beaten back by Lin Yu? The two of them were furious, but at this moment, they had consumed a lot of energy. We can't continue retreat. However, just as they were about to retreat, they were blocked by two figures. Since we made a move, we have to leave something behind. Lin Yu smiled shyly, making Situ Xiao and Zhuge Lingyun tremble in their hearts. With Tai Jian's reaction, these two people didn't underestimate the enemy. Of course, they knew how terrifying Lin Yu was. This kid was not too weak, but they couldn't see through his cultivation. Ocean pearls, all for you. Zhuge Lingyun gritted his teeth and threw out his 17 ocean pearls without thinking. Lin Yu held them with one hand, and the ocean pearl list changed again. Now, Lin Yu already had 61 ocean pearls, and the Third Sea Lord was not calm in the outside world. What's going on? What's going on? What happened inside? Calm down, Sea Lord. The Venerable is already here, and he will uphold justice. It's Lin Yu again. What the hell did this kid do inside? The third Sea Lord forcibly suppressed the anger in his heart. The Venerable was still observing the situation in the sky, so he naturally didn't dare to move. Not only him, but even Grand Preceptor One and the others were also restless from just now, but now all of them were silent. Venerable Wuya was the god of the boundless sea. If he didn't speak, how could others dare to act rashly? The ocean pearls have been taken, but can the people stay? Above the volcano trial field, an incomparably solemn voice suddenly came. Lin Yu, Shan Qingling, Lin Yuan, and the others also heard this sentence. Even Tai Jian, who was hiding in the cave thousands of miles away, also had a change in expression. Venerable. Did the Venerable come to stop Lin Yu? He did not expect that the matter here actually startled the Venerable. But looking at the ocean pearls list again, Lin Yu's ocean pearls were abnormally high. This matter, startling the Venerable, was also something within reason. Lin Yu, this is the Venerable's voice. Shan Qingling's expression was solemn. She did not expect that the Venerable would intervene in this trial field's matters. I'm already number one. What use do I have for the ocean pearls? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up, and his figure actually appeared in front of Zhuge Lingyun, a punch rumbling out. This scene happened too quickly. Even Zhuge Lingyun and Situ Xiao could not see Lin Yu's move clearly. However, Lin Yu's punch still erupted. Lin Yu directly hit Zhuge Lingyun's chest. The latter flew out backward, his figure smashing heavily onto the ground. They're my boundless sea's future hope. The Venerable's voice came over once more, seemingly talking to everyone, but in reality, it was just talking to Lin Yu. Shan Qingling was nervous until she could not move. She never would have thought that Lin Yu would actually not give the Venerable face. This man was really fierce. Turns out that the boundless sea's hope is nothing more than this. Why don't you take a look at his hand? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up, not feeling that he was wrong in the slightest. He landed beside Zhuge Lingyun and stepped on the other party's right hand with one foot. On that right hand, a golden needle seemingly fell out. This golden needle was only the length of a finger and was concealed extremely deeply. If not for face-to-face, coupled with extremely powerful insight, it was simply hard to detect. But the reality was that this golden needle was already sandwiched between Zhuge Lingyun's two fingers, clearly ready to shoot out at any time. It was just that Zhuge Lingyun did not have the chance anymore. Venerable, boundless, divine sense swept over. Detecting the existence of the golden needle, he could not say a third sentence for a long time, too. Zhuge Lingyun actually still wanted to sneak attack Lin Yu just now. The evidence was irrefutable, and he was now counterkilled by Lin Yu. Similarly, even Venerable Boundless' face was slapped. After dealing with Zhuge Lingyun, Lin Yu slowly turned around. Situ Xiao held the killing longsword in his hand. He wanted to escape, but he was stopped by Lin Yuan and Shan Qingling first. It's your turn. Bullying with numbers. What kind of ability is that? Situ Xiao's back was already drenched. What the hell was Lin Yu's move just now? Killing Zhuge Lingyun with one punch? This person is ridiculously strong. He immediately thought of Tai Jin's escape. That guy ran away because he knew that he couldn't beat Lin Yu. But he could run away, but he and Zhuge Lingyun would die here. It makes sense. Bullying with numbers is wrong. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Then how do you want to die? Chapter 774. I don't want to die. Situ Xiao's face and back were full of sweat. He originally planned to talk to Lin Yu openly. Ganging up on him wasn't enough. 1 versus 1 was enough. But Situ Xiao thought about it. Even if it was 1 versus 1, in his current state, he knew that he was not Lin Yu's opponent. Could he shamelessly say that he wanted to fight with Shan Qingling? Wait, I want to fight with Shan Qingling one-on-one. Situ Xiao braced himself and said, raising his sword and rushing toward Shan Qingling. If you have the ability, come one by one, don't fight 3 against 1. Situ Xiao shouted, and Shan Qingling, who was in the other direction, saw him rushing directly towards her, and her heart trembled. The sword energy came along with the crisis at the same time, and Shan Qingling was in a defensive state. But the next moment, a figure appeared above Situ Xiu's head. This figure was so fast that it surpassed Situ Xiu's speed and directly punched down. The tyrannical fist force was accompanied by a dragon roar that resounded through the sky, forming 100 feet of glorious qi fluctuation in the air. And this punch landed squarely on Situ Xiu. Crack! Crack! Situ Xiu only felt that all the bones in his body were broken at this moment, and the intense pain and impact made even the sword in his hand fly away. With a whoosh, Situ Xiu's figure fell quickly, smashing a big pit in the volcano trial field. Magical power! Venerable Weia muttered to himself, shocked by the move Lin Yu just used. It was the Great Void 8 Tribes dragon form, and the next moment he saw Situ Xiu die in front of him, and Lin Yu took away everyone's storage rings and sea pearls. Under the eyes of Venerable Weia, the number was redistributed. Shan Qingling got 24 pearls. The reason was that Tai Jian had 23 pearls. Lin Yu knew that there was not much time left, and this was Tai Jian's territory. If this kid wanted to hide, he couldn't find him in a short time. At this moment, Tai Jian's ranking had fallen to 3rd. Lin Yu gave Lin Yuan 25 pearls, making Lin Yuan's ranking rise to 2nd. He kept 36 pearls in his hand, ranking 1st. At this point, the first round of the sequence battle, Haiju Battle, there was already a final outcome. Up in the sky, Venerable Boundless also removed the volcano trial field. Just as he was about to announce the results, Tai Jian rushed out of nowhere. He stepped into the air and shouted all the way, "Master, save me!" He was really scared. After running away from Lin Yu, Tai Jian also heard Venerable Wu Ya's words. However, his words were unable to intimidate Lin Yu. Tai Jian saw Zhuge Lingyun and Situ Xiu's sea pearls being snatched away with his own eyes inside the cave. The strong preyed on the weak. He had never shown mercy to those who were weaker than him. Therefore, Tai Jian could guess that Situ Xiu and Zhuge Lingyun must have died in Lin Yu's hands. This kid was too terrifying. Tai Jian, what happened to you? In the outside world, Grand Preceptor One appeared in front of Tai Jian as soon as the barrier disappeared. Tai Jian immediately hid behind Grand Preceptor One. Master, Lin Yu is like a ghost. What do you mean? Grand Preceptor One was also shocked. If others made a fuss about nothing, he would not believe it. However, although Tai Jian was his disciple, he used to be very conceited. Today, however, he was scared to this extent. This shocked Grand Preceptor One. What nonsense are you talking about? Fan Tong snorted coldly and turned to Lin Yu. A smile immediately bloomed on his face. Lin Yu, good job. It was the first time he held his head high in front of so many people in Boundless Sea. Everyone, sorry for the disrespect. This is Lin Yu of our 6th Sea region. He made a fool of himself. He accidentally took first place. Fan Tong's words made Lin Yu's old face twitch. He was like a freaking nouveau riche. He was too lazy to pay attention to him and calmly looked at Venerable Boundless. The other party also looked at Lin Yu, as if trying to see through each other's depths. I announced that the results of the first battle have come out. Lin Yu, Lin Yuan, Shan Qingling, and Tai Jian will start the second battle. As exalted Weiya's voice was heard, everyone knew that the result had been decided. Child, how did my son die? The second Sea Lord, Situ Jingtian, shouted. At the same time, the third and fourth Sea Lords were furious. At this moment, corpses were carried out one by one. Situ Xiu, Zhuge Lingyun, Su Longxiang. Unfortunately, Bai Yinlang did not find Mu Zhantian's body because he was already smashed to pieces. Who did this? Who did this? Several Sea Lords roared at the same time. The spearhead was directly pointed at the 4 people who won. The murderer must be among these 4 people. Seniors, Tai Jian is incompetent. Tai Jian jumped out directly and bowed to everyone with an innocent and guilty face. Tai Jian, did you kill my Xiu? Tai Jian, why did you do this? Ling Yun, and you have no grievances. This is just a competition. Tai Jian's face twitched, and he immediately waved his hand. It's not me. I'm here to identify the murderer. I saw it clearly inside. Situ, Zhuge, and several other brothers were all killed by Lin Yu. While speaking, Tai Jian had already pointed at Lin Yu. It's just that the other party's calm gaze fell in front of Tai Jian, making the latter feel terrified. What a terrifying gaze! Tai Jian immediately shrank his finger, swallowed his saliva, and no longer spoke. His whole person retreated. He had finished what he wanted to say, and now he continued to watch the show. Lin Yu by himself? This kid is now the #1 in Haiju. He probably has some skills. Could it be that this kid hid his cultivation and started a massacre inside? Give me your life. Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao stood in front of Lin Yu at the same time. Everyone, this matter has not been investigated yet. You just listened to Tai Jian's one-sided statement and concluded that Lin Yu is the murderer. This matter is too unfair. Fan Tong snorted coldly. After decades of suffocation, he could finally hold his head high. How could he allow his future son-in-law, Lin Yu, to be bullied? If you have any questions, come at me, Fan Tong. The 6th Sea region will accompany you to the end. The same goes for the 7th Sea region. The Battle of Haiju is a fair competition. Now that the results are out, I won't allow you to settle the score with Lin Yu. Xiao Yinyao also expressed his stance. Tai Jian is the direct disciple of Grand Tutor Wen. How can his words be false? Moreover, Lin Yu is the #1 on the Haiju list. If you didn't kill the person who benefited the most, who else could it be? Everyone had already decided on this matter. When Shan Qingling saw this, she pursed her lips and said, "It has nothing to do with Lin Yu. Those people killed each other." Shan Qingling, do you think that the seniors are fools? Tai Jian was the first to refute. You brothers are as close as brothers. Even in the sequence battle, you will stop when it's appropriate. How can you kill each other? I think that Lord Shan is biased towards Lin Yu, right? Chapter 775. Situ Jingtian and others also felt that Shan Qingling's words were too far-fetched. Shan Qingling was indebted to Lin Yu, so how could she watch him being bullied? I was also in the trial field before, and I saw it more clearly than Tai Jian. Why do you believe him and not me? Shan Qingling's face was sullen. She knew that the truth was not important. What was important was to protect Lin Yu. Thinking of this, Shan Qingling confronted Tai Jian. You said that you saw them die in the hands of Lin Yu. Do you have evidence? Shan Qingling asked coldly. Tai Jian just wanted to speak, but was interrupted by Shan Qingling again. If I remember correctly, you brought Situ Xiao and others to besiege us, and then you saw that the situation was not right. You were the first to escape, and I don't know where you ran to. You were not present at all, so how do you know how they died? Shan Qingling's words fell into Tai Jian's ears, and at the same time, it made the hearts of others tighten. It turns out that Tai Jian is a deserter, the only direct disciple of the dignified Grand Preceptor when actually betrayed his friends for glory and wanted to wrongly accuse Lin Yu. Everyone was talking about it. Tai Jian's old face turned red, and he gritted his teeth and stared at Shan Qingling. Now we are talking about Lin Yu. What does it have to do with me? After I left, Situ Xiao and Zhuge Lingyun died. You said that it was not Lin Yu who did it. Who else could it be? It was me. In the direction of the 5th Sea, Lin Yuan's deep voice came. His face was calm, and even a little cute, but when this sentence came out of his mouth, others couldn't help but feel nervous and looked over. Lin Yuan, you can't talk about this matter. Yang Zhu on the side was also worried about Lin Yuan. How did this kid get himself into trouble? I killed them. If you're not happy, you can come to me. Lin Yuan said again. He didn't know what was right or wrong, and he didn't care who killed those people. Even if it was not Lin Yu who did it, but others wronged Lin Yu, and he would take all the blame. This is Lin Yuan's loyalty to Lin Yu. Good heaven-grade aptitude, Lin Yuan. Yang Zhu, these are the people you brought here. They killed my son, Situ Xiao. I want you to give me an explanation. For a time, the 5th Sea region became the target of public criticism. Yang Zhu's face was covered in cold sweat. Upon seeing this, Shan Qingling was surprised by Lin Yuan's loyalty to Lin Yu. These two people must have an unusual relationship. Men on top of men? Men on both sides? Shan Qingling shook her head and didn't dare continue thinking about it. But now she's also in a dilemma. Lin Yuan has admitted to the murder and helped Lin Yu take the blame. But how could she speak up for Lin Yuan? Shan Qingling was a Sea Lord, so her words carried some weight. However, just as she was thinking, she heard a dry cough. This cough carried with it a bit of glory chi that reverberated throughout the entire area. The young man slowly walked out from behind Fan Tong and Xiao Yin Yao, not even looking at the others. Lin Yu didn't care about those guys who were clamoring about the death of their people from the beginning. He just stepped into the air and walked in front of Venerable Wuya. When the crowd saw this, they were all shocked. What is this kid doing? Offending the Venerable. Does he want to die? Lin Yu, come down quickly. The Venerable is not allowed to get close. The corners of Tai Jian's mouth raised, and his heart was already blooming with joy. This kid is actually courting death to reason with the Venerable. As for Fan Tong and Xiao Yin Yao, their old faces were frozen in place. It's over, it's over. Shan Qingling's pretty face was pale. She, Fan Tong, and Xiao Yin Yao might be able to help Lin Yu solve the trouble of the people below. However, offending the Venerable is a capital offense, and no one in the boundless sea can protect him. Lin Yu, come back quickly, Shan Qingling shouted. Seeing this scene, Lin Yuan didn't stop Lin Yu, but he was already prepared to deal with Venerable Wuya at any time. He felt the strength of Venerable Wuya, and even if he and Lin Yu work together, they might not be a match for him. However, it doesn't matter whether they can win or not. In Lin Yuan's world, what he has to do is to stand on the same line as Lin Yu. Lin Yu walked in front of Venerable Wuya with a calm expression. Even under the pressure of Venerable Wuya, who had crossed the three great realms of Four Symbols Realm, 10,000 Spirit Realm, and Spirit King Realm, Lin Yu was still calm. Lin Yu still spoke calmly. Can't you kill in the sequence battle? It was just a simple sentence. However, those words were spread all over. Those words were not only meant for Exalted Wuya to hear, but they were also meant for the others to hear. Can't you kill in the sequence battle? No one has ever said that you can't kill. So, even if the people who died were Situ Xiao, Zhuge Lingyun, and other heaven's prides, so what? If you kill them, then kill them. Lin Yu killed these people in the sequence battle. This was the reason. The audience was dead silent. No one dared to continue speaking. No one even dared to breathe heavily, because they saw that Venerable Wuya's gaze had changed. It was a gaze filled with killing intent. Are you teaching me how to do things? Venerable Wuya's voice came. Everyone swallowed their saliva and felt a majestic pressure coming from the sky above the trial field, suppressing everyone. Even the Four Symbols realms present all knelt down under this pressure. Grand Preceptor 1, Tai Jian, Situ, Jingtian. There were also Shan Qingling, Bai Yanlang, Yang Zhu, and others. All of them knelt down under this pressure. This was the pressure of the supreme ruler of the boundless sea. This was the pressure that represented the power of Venerable Wuya. And the person who faced this power the most directly was Lin Yu. At this moment, Lin Yu, like everyone else, already felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. Spirit King stage. This was a Spirit King stage expert. Compared to Ling Xiao at that time, he was dozens of times stronger. Was such a person an existence that could form his own world and even turn the clouds and rain with a flip of his hand? Interesting, too interesting. Lin Yu did not have any fear. Instead, his face was filled with excitement. Such an existence could only be ranked 30th on the Celestial God list. Then how strong were those people at the top of the Celestial God list? Above Spirit King? Or even more realms that he had never heard of? You're not afraid of me? Venerable Wuya narrowed his eyes and sized up Lin Yu. However, even with his cultivation, he could not see any clues about Lin Yu. You don't belong here. Venerable Wuya's wisdom was extraordinary, and he immediately understood some things. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I be afraid of you? Forcefully enduring the pain all over his body, Lin Yu's voice was still calm and unwavering. As for Reverend Wuya, he looked at Lin Yu with admiration before dispersing his oppressive might. He knew that if this continued, it would be unreasonable of him. You're right. You can kill in the sequence battle. Venerable Wuya's voice sounded. Lin Yu heard it, and everyone else below also heard it. Chapter 776. Many thanks. Lin Yu didn't say anything else, only a simple word of thanks. He didn't need to say it, because reason was on his side. There was no rule against killing in the sequence battle. This kind of contest was a fight to the death. So if the others wanted to settle accounts, that was their problem. Lin Yu even thought that Venerable Wuya, as the strongest ruler of the sea, had the responsibility to suppress the others. With that, Lin Yu turned and returned to Fan Tong's side. The scene just now made many people come back to their senses, as if a lifetime had passed. That kid dared to challenge the Venerable One. Not only that, but the Venerable One even listened to him? While they were shocked, the leaders of the Sea Lords didn't dare to voice their anger. The Venerable One had spoken, so this matter was over. As for Lin Yu, the Venerable One didn't make a move to take him down, which meant he tacitly approved of his actions today. Regarding this, the Sea Lords were surprised, but they could only choose to remain silent. Venerable One, will the second battle begin tomorrow, or when? After a long while, Grand Preceptor One broke the silence and asked tentatively. His tone was careful, as he was afraid of angering Venerable Wuya at this critical juncture. But as the host of this place and the first Sea Lord, Grand Preceptor Win's action was a declaration of his position in the boundless sea. His position was above the other Sea Lords. Now, Venerable Wuya spoke slowly. With a wave of his hand, the trial field began to shake from 10,000 feet below. The volcano, which hadn't erupted for many years, was now emitting a large amount of smoke. As the crowd watched with their own eyes, the entire underwater volcano trial field rose into the air. Is this the strength of a spirit king? Overturning the clouds with one turn of the hand, the Venerable One can lift the entire volcano trial field with one hand. What kind of strength is this? Rumbling sounds continued. The trial field rose into the air. This action shocked even Grand Preceptor One and the others. Usually, between two battles, there would be some time left for the participants to rest, but this time, the Venerable One wanted the remaining four to fight continuously. For people, step forward, Venerable Wuya coldly said. The training field was split into two by the force of his hand. Magma gushed out as volcanoes erupted one after another. The two continents turned into magma. Lin Yu against Tai Jian. Reverend Limitless said in a commanding tone, "Go to the left continent and fight." Hearing those words, Lin Yu spread out his hands, although he did not know why Reverend Wuya would be so anxious. However, as long as he could win in a fight, the timing of the fight was not important to him. Lin Yu took a step forward and displayed a lightning-fast movement technique. He directly appeared on the magma continent on the left. This scene caused Tai Jian's mind to rumble. Why'd I have to fight with him? Why is he my opponent? Tai Jian muttered to himself and subconsciously took a few steps back. What nonsense are you talking about? In the sequence battle, you are supposed to defeat everyone to obtain the qualifications to be brought to the sequence rankings by the Venerable One. Grand Preceptor One snorted in exasperation. Why aren't you going? Although Lin Yu is a little strange, with your myriad poisons body and the strength of the second layer of the four-symbol stage, don't tell me you don't have the confidence to win? Master, this kid is strange. He's definitely not as simple as you think. Tai Jian's feet seemed to have grown roots as he stood on the ground and refused to go over. Tai Jian, why aren't you going up? What are you waiting for? Venerable Wuya's voice sounded again. Tai Jian's mind was shaken as his legs went soft. Just as he was about to admit defeat, he saw Grand Preceptor One supporting him. With this support, Grand Preceptor One's tyrannical power directly entered Tai Jian's body. At the same time, a poison that he had refined for 1,000 years also entered. Master, this is... Tai Jian's face was filled with joy. He did not expect Grand Preceptor to sacrifice his own power like this. As for the 1,000-year poison, Tai Jian naturally knew what it was. Don't let your master down. After Grand Preceptor said that, Tai Jian clenched his fists and regained his confidence. He took a step and appeared in front of Lin Yu. Are you not afraid of me? Lin Yu seemed to ask innocently, but in fact, it made Tai Jian's heart tighten. But when he thought that he was not the same as before, Tai Jian calmed down and sneered. Lin Yu, don't you know that death is at hand? Oh, Lin Yu looked at Tai Jian and really felt that the other party's aura was the same. Does he have any more trump cards and deliberately hide them? Lin Yu pondered in his heart. In the other direction, Shan Qingling and Lin Yuan came up. Regardless of life and death, only victory and defeat will be determined. Venerable Wu Ya stood with his hands behind his back and sword between the two continents. Begin. His voice sounded. Tai Jian's figure burst out in an instant and rushed toward Lin Yu. Die for me. Tai Jian raised his palm, and 100 feet of purple mist burst out from his palm. The purple mist wrapped Lin Yu in all directions, including the path behind him. Within the purple mist, Lin Yu noticed that when the purple mist collided with the air, he could hear some sizzling sounds. Highly toxic. Lin Yu operated his cultivation, and golden light shrouded him directly. The Buddha's Garuda formed a monstrous golden Buddhist bell that rotated around Lin Yu's body. The purple mist was blocked by the Buddhist bell for a while, but it was not enough to block the purple mist, because Tai Jian's palm power was approaching. Clang! Tai Jian's palm turned dark purple in an instant, and even his neck was full of dark purple poison that spread out. The palm power collided with the Buddha's Garuda, and a deafening sound was heard. Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Is that Tai Jian's myriad poison battle body? I'm afraid that among the younger generation of the Boundless Sea, Tai Jian is recognized as the #1 person in terms of using poison. The Buddha's Garuda was indestructible, but when Tai Jian's palm fell, in addition to the overbearing power of the second level of the 4-division stage, it also added a lot of highly toxic attacks. Lin Yu calmly looked at his opponent's palm, where the Buddha's Garuda actually cracked. Cracks that could be seen with the naked eye spread out. Lin Yu's figure retreated, and the Buddha's Garuda was completely shattered. Tai Jian's palm power also approached Lin Yu. Soul-destroying palm. Tai Jian's ferocious eyes stared at Lin Yu, as if he was looking at a dead man. The palm power was already 3 feet away from Lin Yu. 2 feet. 1 foot. In the blink of an eye, it was about to touch Lin Yu's face. However, all of a sudden, Tai Jian's expression changed drastically. A black shadow had enveloped him in an instant. The black shadow was like a monstrous demon that came from Lin Yu's body. Its eyes were like demons as it looked down on Tai Jian. Chapter 777. At this moment, Tai Jian's attack seemed to be paused by time and space, and it was difficult for him to take half a step forward. This was not Lin Yu using time and space reset, but the phantasm of Azura, one of the 8 divisions of Void, with an overbearing deterrent power. The 3-inch space around Lin Yu's body was Azura's absolute forbidden zone. Impossible. Tai Jian pulled back with all his might, but under this pressure, his body was as slow as a mortal. He wanted to retreat, but he couldn't break through Azura's pressure at all. What is your cultivation? Tai Jian roared. He didn't believe that Lin Yu had no cultivation at all. With such a strong pressure, such a powerful speed and offense, Tai Jian even felt that Lin Yu's realm was much higher than his. It's enough to kill you. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. He raised his fist and punched Tai Jian with the Azura, hitting him squarely. This punch caused an air wave to rise in the air. Everyone looked over in shock, and their jaws almost fell off. Tai Jian can't beat Lin Yu. Impossible. Tai Jian is a powerhouse of the second level of the 4-symbol stage. How can he not be Lin Yu's opponent? Then what realm is Lin Yu? Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao were also overjoyed. Only Grand Preceptor Wen's eyes were cold. Sure enough, I was right to leave some tricks behind. He didn't expect Lin Yu to defeat Tai Jian in his normal state. Fortunately, Grand Preceptor Wen left some tricks behind, only to hear a roar from the magma continent. Tai Jian's figure directly smashed a volcano. The gravel collapsed, and Tai Jian directly drew a deep pit road. Lin Yu, on the other hand, looked in another direction. There, Shan Qingling was taking a lot of medicinal pills. She was holding a pill furnace in her hand. This pill furnace seemed to be invisible and could be big or small. She kept attacking Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan just crossed his hands in front of him. He didn't even move at all, but his demonic energy formed a qi wall. Even if it was just a qi wall, Shan Qingling couldn't break this qi wall at all after hitting it for a long time. Bastard! Shan Qingling clenched her teeth. She consumed a lot of energy, but even so, she couldn't even break Lin Yuan's basic defense. The gap between me and him is so big. Shan Qingling continued to take medicinal pills, but she was soon exhausted. Lin Yu retracted his gaze. It seemed that Lin Yuan's side had an overwhelming advantage. He looked down and saw that Tai Jian's figure had actually disappeared. Huh? Lin Yu's lips curled up as he felt a strong vibration coming from the bottom of the volcano. This vibration to the magma continent. Lin Yu was surprised, heartbeat. Everyone looked over in surprise as they felt the vibrations in the magma of the volcano. Did Tai Jian enter the lava? This life reaction is stronger than that of a demonic beast. What's going on? Grand Preceptor Wen narrowed his eyes slightly and didn't say anything, but he naturally knew what was going on. Wen Xiang, what did you do? Fan Tong was shocked and immediately asked from a distance. How could Grand Preceptor Wen pay attention to him when he heard his original name? He pretended not to hear it. Even Venerable Wu Ya couldn't help but take a second look at Tai Jian's reaction. Soul transformation? He said in his heart. The next moment, Lin Yu saw all the volcanoes below erupt and magma rushed up. Azura's huge figure blocked outside, and Lin Yu avoided a few magma pillars at the same time. But this was only a small crisis because he saw that the magma began to merge in midair as if it had a life of its own. Lin Yu was very interested. In front of the magma that was growing at this moment, he was like an ant under a mountain. Everyone also looked at this side. In Shan Qingling's direction, Lin Yuan was worried about Lin Yu, so he waved his hand casually. The moment Shan Qingling's pill furnace rushed towards him, it was directly smashed away by his hand and fell to the ground and rolled far away. The sound of gold and jade clanged. Shan Qingling looked lonely, knowing that she no longer had the power to fight. You are Master's woman. I won't hurt you. Lin Yuan's calm voice came, deep and domineering. Thank you, I admit defeat. Shan Qingling nodded and admitted defeat, but then realized that something was wrong. What do you mean by your master's woman? I am not. But Lin Yuan didn't care about her. Shan Qingling had already admitted defeat. In Lin Yuan's view, as long as he continued to admit defeat, Lin Yu would be the winner this time. But now Lin Yuan was worried about the huge magma ball in front of Lin Yu. This sphere was as huge as the sun. Lin Yu was not in a hurry. Inside the magma ball, he felt the existence of Tai Jian. Lin Yu was now curious to see what Tai Jian was up to. Soon, the magma ball began to shrink and gradually formed a human figure. It was just that this human figure was also incomparably huge. The magma giant looked down at Lin Yu with only one eye on its face. It had no mouth, no nose, and no ears. In that eye, Lin Yu saw the figure of Tai Jian. At this moment, Tai Jian only had his upper body left, and his lower body had already merged with the magma giant. Master, is this the power you've been dreaming of? Tai Jian laughed. The treasure that Grand Preceptor, when refined for thousands of years, was actually used by him first today. At this moment, Tai Jian only felt that his strength was close to the 10,000 spirit realm. The body of a 10,000 spirit realm powerhouse can transform into anything. This magma giant was transformed from Tai Jian's body. With his power, even if it's master, I can crush him with a stomp. Tai Jian's heart was filled with evil thoughts, but Lin Yu was still in front of him, and this was what he hated the most. "Lin Yu, are you afraid?" Tai Jian's casual words were like a thunderclap that reverberated through a radius of 10,000 feet due to his enormous body. "It's over. Lin Yu is dead for sure." "Tai Jian, what kind of cultivation technique is this?" "No. Why does it look like a forbidden technique in my Boundless Seas ancient books?" Fan Tong's old face was ashen. "Grand Preceptor One, you actually refined the soul-dissolving pill?" "It's too late to know now." Grand Preceptor One sneered. "Fan Tong, Lin Yu's performance just now seems to have made you a little complacent." He turned to look at Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao, spreading his hands. "My First Sea region is destined to be the strongest in the Boundless Sea, and the sequence will also be from my First Sea region. As for you," he stared at Fan Tong, "trash will always be trash. Don't even think about surpassing me." Fan Tong's breathing became heavy. He also felt that Tai Jian's strength surpassed everyone present at this moment. "Lin Yu, run!" Fan Tong's shout came. Tai Jian heard and sneered again. "Your Sea Lord told you to run, but unfortunately, I won't let you run away." Lin Yu spread his hands. "Then what are you going to do to me?" "What?" Tai Jian took a step forward, the terrifying heat rising the temperature of the First Sea region by a lot, especially when Lin Yu confronted him at such a close distance. Even if the corner of his clothes didn't touch Tai Jian, it was already burning. Chapter 778. I'm going to crush you to death and avenge the humiliation you gave me in the Battle of Haiju. Lin Yu said helplessly. "Weren't you the one who wanted to be a coward? What do you mean by I humiliated you?" "Shut up." The lava giant punched down, and the vortex in the sky was pushed back by Lin Yu. The wind pressure came with the fist, and Lin Yu's clothes moved without wind, but his expression was still calm. Is it comparable to Ling Zhao's punch? Lin Yu thought. Azura used falsified sky. In front of him, space and time twisted. The lava giant's fist fell, and endless flames burned down. However, it didn't hit Lin Yu. So fast, Fan Tong, Xiao Yinyao, and the other ocean lords felt their hearts tighten. Even if it were them, it would be difficult for them to dodge Tai Jian's punch with such speed. However, Lin Yu disappeared from where he stood. They couldn't even see his afterimage clearly. It really is a theurgy. Venerable Weia narrowed his eyes and confirmed his initial thoughts. Only a theurgy could have such incredible power. 1,000 miles away, Lin Yu appeared. His right fist was already gathering power. This time, I don't need to use 30-fold space-time overlap. 10 times is enough. The current Lin Yu was stronger than when he fought Ling Xiao. As for the lava giant, it was just a temporary power that Tai Jian obtained through some means. It didn't truly belong to him. Therefore, Lin Yu concluded that the lava giant wasn't as strong as Ling Xiao. "Found you." Tai Jian's voice was like thunder. The wind pressure in the sky increased by a dozen times. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly and used falsified sky again. Falsified sky was a reverse teleportation technique. For example, when Lin Yu stepped onto Sky Desert under Ling Zhao's trick, he had returned to the abyss of despair. If it wasn't for falsified sky, Lin Yu wouldn't have been able to return to his original place and break free from Ling Zhao's restraints. Lin Yu wouldn't even have been able to reach Sky Desert. Rumble. Tai Jian's punch missed again. At this moment, he was surprised. He didn't have any intention of underestimating his opponent, but Lin Yu was able to dodge both of his attacks. Everyone below was shocked to see that Lin Yu had returned to his original place. How'd he do it? He can teleport in 2 places? There's actually such a strange cultivation method in the world. I've never heard of it before. Even Grand Tutor 1 and Xiao Yinyao, who were sea masters of the older generation, exclaimed repeatedly when they saw Lin Yu use Not Heaven. With this kind of movement skill, even they would have to put in a lot of effort to take down Lin Yu. However, this was not the end of their shock. That was because the violent power on Lin Yu's right fist kept increasing, which attracted their attention. Rather than saying that they were paying attention, it would be better to say that they were in a life and death crisis. What is that? Fist energy. What a tyrannical fist energy. and it's still increasing. In the sky, Tai Jian locked onto Lin Yu once again. At the same time, he sensed the power of Lin Yu's right fist. Damn it, you still have a trump card. Tai Jian went berserk. He knew that he couldn't delay any longer. Otherwise, Lin Yu would gather more and more power. Even in his current state, he would probably fail miserably. However, when Tai Jian threw out his third punch, Lin Yu's tenfold power accumulation was already completed. 8 Great Void Divisions, Dragon Manifestation. Lin Yu's arm made cracking sounds. Given his current battle constitution, even if it wasn't a 30-fold space-time overlap, it still exceeded the burden of his right arm. Fortunately, his arm did not explode from the force of the explosion. At this moment, Lin Yu threw out a punch. The tenfold power of the dragon manifestation gathered into 10 dragon shadows. The dragon roar shook the sky and resounded in all directions. Everyone saw Lin Yu and Tai Jian's fists collide. Lin Yu is actually going to take Tai Jian's punch with his bare hands? He's crazy. In such a state, Tai Jian's battle constitution has probably surpassed the strength of a monster. If Lin Yu were to face it head-on with a human body, he would be dead for sure. Sai, this kid is a bit impulsive. However, just when they thought that Lin Yu was going to lose, a roar came from the sky. Rumble. From what they saw, the scene of Lin Yu being killed by Tai Jian didn't happen. On the contrary, at this moment, Tai Jian's right fist in the lava giant state was shattering layer by layer. What? This? What kind of power is this? Above the magma continent, 10 dragon shadows were constantly hovering, forming a posture like the overlord of the sky, constantly echoing in the sky. Every time there was an echo, it was Lin Yu's dragon manifestation fist hitting Tai Jian's body. At this moment, not only Tai Jian's arm, even the huge lava battle constitution on his body was constantly shattering at this moment. The tenfold power of the Void Dragon Manifestation Fist was comparable to Lin Yu's full combat power, continuously blasting out 10 fist forces. And Lin Yu himself had the combat power of a 4 divisions powerhouse. This time, it was the all-out attack executed by 10 4 symbols realm powerhouses. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary technique, but a magical attack. No. Tai Jian was injured, and his remaining upper body was also spitting out blood. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his strength was beginning to fade. Master, give me another soul transformation pill. Tai Jian knew that he couldn't make it. His strength began to dissipate, and his battle constitution was also rapidly withering, even being swallowed by the magma. In the end, Tai Jian still walked towards Grand Preceptor One. Grand Preceptor One saw this and also took a few steps forward. For this battle, I'm the first C region. He wanted to admit defeat, but for the sake of his face, he still hesitated. It was also because of Grand Preceptor Wind's hesitation at this moment. The sound of wind breaking came from above, and it was Lin Yu who had transformed into Azura. He directly gathered his hands in front of his chest, raised them, and directly slammed them down. That was the lower part of Tai Jian's body. Half of the magma giant's body was instantly smashed into pieces by this punch. Disciple. Grand Preceptor Wind's roar came, but his voice could no longer be heard by Tai Jian. Lin Yu, you're courting death. Grand Preceptor Wind's cultivation erupted, and the power of the 7th level of the 4 divisions enveloped his entire body. His figure turned into a purple stream of light and directly charged towards Lin Yu. And at this moment, Lin Yu was also motionless. It was as if he had given up resisting. This scene made everyone's heart tighten. Lin Yu, run. Child, be careful. Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao said in unison. But Lin Yu only raised the corner of his mouth in the face of Grand Preceptor Wen's fury and killing intent. Grand Preceptor Wen couldn't bring himself to attack within 3 feet of him. Bastard, I will make you pay the price. Grand Preceptor Wen stared at Lin Yu, but in the end, he didn't really attack, because he knew that the pressure of a venerable had already descended. Chapter 779. With this move, he absolutely can't hurt Lin Yu. As long as he gets closer, Venerable will personally take action, and at that time, it will be his death aura. Lin Yu, on the other hand, was as calm as ever. For the first time, Grand Preceptor, when encountered this kind of person who obviously wants to kill him, but can't even hurt a hair on his head. "First Sea Lord, what's the matter?" Lin Yu said with a faint smile. His tone was gentle, as if nothing had happened just now. He killed Tai Jian like pinching an ant, and Lin Yu didn't care about it at all. "It's nothing." Grand Preceptor Wen put down his hand. He turned around and went down, wanting to insist on Tai Jian's situation. He thought that Tai Jian might still have a glimmer of hope. However, Grand Preceptor Wen didn't understand Lin Yu's character. When he deals with enemies, he will definitely crush their bones and scatter their ashes, leaving no room for mercy. Tai Jian couldn't be any more dead. Even on Tai Jian's fingers, Grand Preceptor Wen saw finger marks, but there was no trace of the storage ring. "Where's my disciple's storage ring?" Grand Preceptor Wen roared at Lin Yu. "Your people, you ask me?" Lin Yu smiled shyly. Obviously, he won't admit that when he made the last blow, in addition to wanting to kill Tai Jian, he wanted to kill him and rob him. Today's battle. Grand Preceptor Wen wanted to speak, but the voice of Venerable Wu Ya had already made him swallow the words that were just about to come out of his mouth. "Lin Yuan and Lin Yuwen," Venerable Wu Ya announced. When everyone was only optimistic that Tai Jian and Situ Xiu could win the sequence battle, these two people became dark horses at the same time. They came out of the Haiju battle and defeated Shan Qingling and Tai Jian to become the final winner. "See, Lord, when will this final battle begin?" Fan Tong asked with some worry on his face. He knew that Lin Yu had just dealt with Tai Jian and had consumed a lot of energy. The best result is to let him rest for a few days and restore his full state before the final battle. And in another direction, although Yang Zhu could see that Lin Yuan and Lin Yu's opponents were extremely surprised this time, Lin Yuan did not consume too much physical strength to deal with Shan Qingling. However, Lin Yu was different. His opponent was Tai Jian. Moreover, it was Tai Jian who had just taken the soul-dissolving pill. His battle prowess had skyrocketed. This old man also agrees. Let's have a fair fight. Let's wait for them to recover their vitality. Venerable Wu Ya interrupted Yang Zhu as soon as his words came out. Continue the final battle. Listen carefully. Everyone could not help but be shocked. Continue now. What's going on? In the past, although it wasn't a sequence battle, there would always be a period of time between matches to give the contestants a chance to recover. But today, 3 matches were held consecutively. Was this a test of their endurance? Everyone was astonished. Venerable Boundless and Lin Yu glanced at each other. "Do you have any objections?" "No." Lin Yu shrugged. "Whatever. It doesn't matter when they fight, because his opponent is Lin Yuan." At this moment, Lin Yuan also had no objection. He came in front of Lin Yu. The two were separated by 10 feet, but they looked at each other. The two clasped their fists at the same time. When Venerable Boundless announced the start of the battle, 2 people's voices came at the same time. "I admit defeat. I admit defeat." At this moment, the audience was dead silent again. No one would have thought that these 2 people would admit defeat at the same time. Did I hear it wrong? What's going on? Why did they admit defeat? It's okay to admit defeat, but they admitted defeat at the same time. Who won? Even Venerable Wu Ya, who was sitting on the main seat, couldn't help narrowing his eyes at this moment. These 2 people were deliberately not giving him face. "What do you mean?" Venerable Wu Ya's cold voice came. When the other Sea Lords heard this, their hearts tightened at this moment. They were afraid that Venerable Wu Ya's anger would affect them. "This, our Lin Yu consumed a lot of energy. Admit defeat, then admit defeat." Fan Tong immediately came out to smooth things over. "This Venerable is not asking you." Venerable Wu Ya's voice came with supreme majesty. Even Fan Tong and Xiao Yinyao, who was next to him, couldn't help but be nervous at this moment. "It's over, it's over." Grand Preceptor Wen was gloating. This kid was too arrogant. Unfortunately, many geniuses were so arrogant that they eventually killed themselves in the cradle. Although Lin Yu defeated Tai Jian, He didn't understand the rules of the boundless sea. Today, he angered Venerable Wuya, and it was his death date. Tai Jian, your spirit in heaven must see clearly. Master has avenged you. Grand Preceptor Wen muttered to himself. On the lava continent, Lin Yu said calmly, I won't fight. This sequence qualification, you can give it to whoever you want. After listening, Venerable Wuya's face became gloomy for the first time. He looked at Lin Yuan again. Then you, I don't want it. Lin Yuan directly interrupted Venerable Wuya's words, making the latter's voice in his throat abruptly swallowed back. This was the first time he had been interrupted. Moreover, it wasn't in the outside world, but in his territory, the boundless sea. If you don't want it, then why did you participate in this battle? Venerable Wuya said angrily. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan looked at each other. They replied at the same time. It's fun. It's fun. Presumptuous. Venerable Wuya's furious voice spread in all directions. The two continents that rose into the sky fell directly at this moment, and the earth roared. The membrane that blocked the seawater from the outside also began to show signs of cracking after this vibration. Seeing this, the others immediately took action to stabilize the membrane. When Venerable Wuya was angry, the entire Fursi area was almost submerged by the seawater. You two, what do you mean by this? Venerable Wuya asked for the last time. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan both felt that this person was really angry. If this question can't be answered, maybe both Lin Yu and Lin Yuan will die in the hands of Venerable Wuya. You say, Venerable Wuya first looked at Lin Yuan. He could feel that whatever Lin Yu said, this kid would follow Lin Yu. So at this moment, he asked Lin Yuan alone. Lin Yuan was silent for a long time. His eyes were always looking at Lin Yu. Finally, a sentence came faintly. Never be an enemy of Master. Never be an enemy of Master. This sentence clearly fell into the ears of Lin Yu and Venerable Wuya. Master, Venerable Wuya narrowed his eyes slightly. When he first heard the surnames of these two people, he felt that something was wrong. Now it seems that his guess was right. It's your turn. Venerable Wuya asked again. This time he looked at Lin Yu. Lin Yu was not silent. He was different from Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was a little unfamiliar with the expression of emotions. Lin Yu quickly said, Brother, never be an enemy. Similarly, never be an enemy. But it was from two different perspectives. One regarded the other as master. In Venerable Wuya's view, Lin Yuan felt that he was a level lower than Lin Yu. The other one regarded the other as a brother, indicating that in Lin Yu's heart, Lin Yuan was a brother. Although the answers of these two people did not satisfy Venerable Wuya, but also made him unable to continue to blame them. Well, in that case, you two are both sequences. Chapter 780. Both of them are in the sequence. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Did I hear it wrong? Venerable said that Lin Yuan and Lin Yu became in the sequence at the same time? How could this be? Isn't there only one person in each sea area who can be selected? While everyone was surprised, even those old sea lords didn't know what the situation was now. Brother Fan Tong, what do you think of this matter? Yang Ju seemed to be in the clouds. Lin Yuan's current results have exceeded his expectations by too much. Therefore, Yang Ju didn't insist on being in the sequence. Even if Lin Yuan surrendered just now, Yang Ju could accept it. But now, he can become in the sequence without fighting? How do I know? Fan Tong also blushed. Not to mention the sequence. Even in the Dragon Gate test, he has always been the one at the bottom. However, Venerable's decision will not be wrong. Since he has opened his mouth, then the two of them will be in the sequence from today onwards. Xiao Yinyao reminded everyone. After all, the person who spoke was none other than Venerable Wuya. In this sea area, even on the Divine God list, he is a top powerhouse. Such a person wouldn't joke with them. He said that the two of them are in the sequence. Then they are in the sequence. It turns out that there can be two sequences in each sea area. Lin Yu smiled faintly. This was something he didn't expect. But Lin Yu understood. The existence of the sequence is the supreme list that the primitive continent, the border sea, and the heavenly domain compete for. Then, Such an existence is not something that Venerable Wuya alone can decide on the list. You're very smart. Venerable Wuya glanced at Linyu. The other party is right. From the beginning, each sea area has 2 spots. But in order to let these young geniuses compete with all their strength, they didn't directly tell everyone. This is a good thing, but also a bad thing. Linyu spread out his hands. If there are more spots, it proves that the 7 sea areas, each with 14 sequences, plus the primitive continent and the heavenly domain, and those hidden forces, the competition for the sequence list will be more intense. Despite being in the echelon, Linyu didn't slack off. Instead, he calmly analyzed the situation. Regarding this, Venerable Wuya could not help but inwardly exclaim in admiration. You're right. Being in the echelon is just a symbol. It means that you're stronger than your peers. But that doesn't mean anything. Venerable, boundless, deep voice rang out. He was speaking to Linyu, but at the same time, he was also speaking to the others in the boundless sea. You can only become the personal disciple of an expert on the heavenly God ranking if you ascend to the sequence ranking. As for the sequence, it's merely a matter of obtaining the qualifications to compete for the sequence rankings. He didn't want Linyu and Linyuan to stop because they were in the sequence. I have one more thing to ask you. Venerable Wuya looked at Linyu and asked in a voice that only Linyu could hear, "Is the matter of the Dragon Gate related to you?" "It has nothing to do with me." Linyu shook his head without hesitation. "That was done by Su Longxiang. If no one deliberately tried to destroy it, the Dragon Gate wouldn't have collapsed." Venerable Wuya continued, "There's only one possibility. A talent above the heaven grade has appeared. This talent is enough to shake the Dragon Gate and cause it to collapse." Linyu continued to be silent. Seeing this, Venerable Wuya looked at Linyu a few more times. "Su Longxiang doesn't have this talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died in your hands. Before Su Longxiang took the test, you took the test at the Dragon Gate. Although you didn't cause any reaction from the Dragon Gate, I believe that the collapse of the Dragon Gate is related to you." While speaking, Venerable Wuya's figure shifted again. With this shift, he appeared in front of Linyu at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended on Linyu. "I asked you a question. You have to answer truthfully." Venerable Wuya's cold voice rang out. "All right, if you want to kill me, you can do so at any time. Why do you have to be so fancy?" Linyu was a little impatient. This was using cultivation to bully him. When had he ever been bullied like this? As his voice fell, Venerable Wuya knew the other party's current role. He might be able to compete for the ranking list and bring him some face. Moreover, Linyu was right. If he was found to be hiding something, he could kill Linyu at any time. There was no need to do anything else. Fine. Venerable Wuya dispersed his pressure. Everyone jumped in fright, thinking that something bad was about to happen again. "Your surname is Lin. Do you know that this surname belongs to the people of the heaven domain?" Venerable Wuya asked again. "I didn't know before, but now I know," Linyu said without thinking. Although this answer was simple and casual, Venerable Wuya could tell that he wasn't lying. Then the matter of the Dragon Gate. Linyu interrupted his words. "I don't know either. At least when I was under the Dragon Gate didn't have any reaction." Venerable Wuya couldn't tell that Linyu was hiding anything. In fact, he knew that this was the truth. However, he still hoped that Linyu could confirm his guess. "I should ask you about the Dragon Gate. If I really have a talent above the heaven grade, then other than the collapse of the Dragon Gate, did it have no reaction like yesterday?" Linyu asked Venerable Wuya. The latter was speechless. "It's over. If you were the only one who had destroyed the Dragon Gate since the beginning of time, he wouldn't be able to investigate the other things. Then where will I, Venerable Wuya's and boundless seas, face? Cough. Venerable Wuya suppressed the thoughts in his heart. There are various records in the ancient books. There are many people above the heaven grade. I naturally know what kind of reaction there is. I'm just testing you." He was neither panting nor blushing. He truly had the demeanor of a strong person. Then let's leave it at that. Linyu felt that the other party was strange. He estimated that he was hiding something. Of course, He couldn't see through the specific reason. It was because Venerable Wuya was afraid that Lin Yu would be too arrogant and lose his face, so the other party lied. Seeing Lin Yu turn around and leave, Venerable Wuya reminded him again. 3 days later, follow me to the Sequence Emperor City in front. Sequence Emperor City? Lin Yu asked casually. That's the place where the previous sequences compete for the sequence list. Understood. Lin Yu nodded and left. When Venerable Wuya just turned around and wanted to say a few words to Lin Yuan, the latter actually followed Lin Yu and stepped into the air together. He actually left him, a powerhouse ranked 30th on the divine list, hanging here. Venerable, next. Grand Preceptor stepped forward and asked with trepidation. He couldn't hear the conversation between the three people just now. Obviously, Venerable didn't want them to hear the next few words. At this moment, seeing the others leave, Grand Preceptor thought that the matter was over, so he dared to come forward and ask. Chapter 781. I am very satisfied with today's matter. The sequence battle of the Boundless Sea is over. Venerable Wuya suppressed the embarrassment of being ignored by Lin Yu and Lin Yuan and said with a calm face, "Yes." Grand Preceptor 1 and others also withdrew their disciples one after another. As for this fragmented training field, it didn't matter. Originally, Grand Preceptor hoped that Tai Jian could become a member of the sequence, and such a small sacrifice didn't matter. But now Tai Jian is dead, and his territory has been beaten like this, which made Grand Preceptor 1's heart bleed. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan rested for a night. The next day, Grand Preceptor 1 and his party came to the reception hall where they were. Fan Tong, my second disciple, and your Fanjinjin are also a talented man and a beautiful woman. Today, this old man came to propose marriage. You won't refuse, right? Fan Tong, Grand Preceptor asked us to come together today to give you enough face. It's time for Fanjinjin to get married. Today's matter, you can settle it like this. Yes. Chun Jianxin is the first person under Tai Jian. Now that Tai Jian died in the sequence battle, Chun Jianxin is the first disciple of Grand Preceptor 1. He is more than enough to match your Fanjinjin. Lin Yu heard the voices of the three people outside the hall very clearly. They were Grand Preceptor 1, Situ, Jing Tian, and Bai Yanlang of the 4th Sea region. There seemed to be the breath of the 3rd Sea Lord and the 10th Sea Lord, Fire Buddha. The disciples of these people all lost to Lin Yu and Lin Yuan in the sequence battle. There must be no good thing for them to come here today. This old man has already said that my daughter Jinjin already has a sweetheart. Grand Preceptor 1, please go back. Fan Tong's voice came. There seemed to be some kind of restriction outside Lin Yu's door, making it difficult for him to go out in a short time. Lin Yu heard Fan Jinjin say that this restriction was the array of the 6th Sea region. Is it Sea Lord Fan who doesn't want me to come forward? Lin Yu frowned. Obviously, Fan Tong knew that they came with bad intentions, so he wanted to solve the matter himself. Lin Yu came forward, and he was worried that Lin Yu would be implicated. Lin Yu felt that this move was unnecessary, after all, with his and Lin Yuan's current status. Others might not be able to tell, but Lin Yu, who had spoken to the Venerable One at a close distance, knew very well that the Venerable One's identity was extremely important. Therefore, even though Lin Yu was facing the Sea Lords who came to make things difficult for him, he was not afraid at all. Lin Yuan, help me, Lin Yu shouted. The two of them planned to work together to break through the restriction. Outside the door, there seemed to be a fierce quarrel. Fan Tong, you didn't give me any face back then. Today, I brought so many people to propose marriage to you out of goodwill. How dare you refuse? Grand Preceptor said sternly as he patted the scarred Chun Jianxin beside him. Although this person's cultivation was not much lower than Tai Jian's, his face was ugly, and his body was emitting a murderous aura. How could Fan Tong accept such a son-in-law? Lin Yu is his favorite candidate. That's enough. I've already made myself very clear. Fan Tong's voice gradually became cold. Good Fan Tong, do you see that? Grand Preceptor took this as a pretext to make a fuss. The other Sea Lords echoed in succession. This is indeed your fault, Fantong. Do you think that you can ride on our heads just because you're in the sequence? I think that's what this kid thinks. With Linyu, the 6th sea domain can turn over salted fish. We old guys came to propose marriage to you, and we've already given your daughter enough face. I didn't think that you, Fantong, would be so arrogant today. Sea Lord Situ, Sea Lord Wen, what else are you saying? Tie Fantong up and drag him to the 6th sea domain. I'll see if Fanjinjin agrees. Yes, if Fanjinjin doesn't agree today, where will we put our faces in the future? The 6th sea domain will be turned upside down. The 4 of them criticized one after another, and Fantong could not refute a single word. Enough. Jinjin is my daughter, her happiness. Before Fantong could finish, he saw a powerful palm strike coming at him. It was so fast that Fantong could not react in time. It was a late-stage 4 quadrants cultivator, and the strike landed squarely on Fantong's chest. Fantong flew backward, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. Grand Preceptor One. Clutching his chest, he glared at Grand Preceptor One. The attacker was the 1st Sea Lord. Go! Grand Preceptor Wen's lips curled, and the other Sea Lords attacked Fantong at the same time. Fantong was injured, and there was no way he could withstand the attacks of Situ Jingtian by Yanlang and the others. The guest hall was torn apart. Grand Preceptor Wen did not feel the slightest bit of heartache this time. He was already in a good mood after injuring Fantong. Once Fantong was dead, he would let his disciple marry Fanjinjin. Grand Preceptor Wen felt that this would be revenge for not being able to marry Fanjinjin's mother. Master, this Fantong will be my father-in-law from now on. Is it appropriate to beat him up like this? Shen Jinshin could not bear to watch any longer. Idiot, if your senior was still here, Fanjinjin would never have been yours. Grand Preceptor Wen snorted. When you get her, don't forget that I'm the one who gave her to you. This disciple knows his mistake. I'll listen to Master. Since Master wants Fanjinjin, this disciple will not refuse. Shut up. How can I allow you to ruin my reputation? We'll talk about this when we get back. This disciple understands. Chen Jinshin chuckled. Fantong's injuries were severe, and he could tell that Fantong was severely injured. Stop! Outside the hall, Shan Qingling and Xiao Yinyao hurried over, accompanied by Yangju. The 3 of them blocked Situ, Jingtian, and the others. What are you doing? Xiao Yinyao pulled Fantong to his feet and scanned him with his consciousness. He knew that Fantong was seriously injured. These bastards. Xiao Yinyao turned around, burning with rage. Who did this? See Master Xiao. This is all because Fantong doesn't know what's good for him. Does the 7th Sea region also want to get involved? This old man advises you to take it easy. Today's matter is not something you can interfere in. Xiao Yinyao and the others were gloomy. They helped Fantong to the side, while Grand Preceptor stepped forward again. It's best for unrelated people to step aside. This seat is here to propose marriage. Fantong, you said that Fanjinjin already has someone in her heart. Could be Linyu? I didn't sense his presence from the beginning. Why don't you call him out, and I'll ask him myself. Don't even think about it. Fantong spat out another mouthful of blood. Very well, Fantong. Don't blame me for using force. Grand Preceptor Wen's aura swept out in all directions as soon as he finished speaking, sweeping away the debris in the surroundings. Shan Qingling and the others were solemn. They knew that there was no way to resolve this peacefully. At the same time, the 6th Sea region's restriction set up by Fantong cracked. 2 figures came out from the broken formation. One of them stood in front of Grand Preceptor One, his expression as calm as water. But Lin Yuan knew that Lin Yu, in this state, already had the intention to kill him. Chapter 782. Isn't this the sequence? Grand Preceptor One sneered. Naturally, he wouldn't be scared off by a kid who looked like he was in his teens. When High Lord, Situ Jingtian stopped his attack and hesitated. Although the sequence didn't have any real power in the Boundless Sea, it was still the sequence. In terms of power, it might not be as great as the Ocean Lord level. However, their reputation and future potential in the Border Sea were much greater than than the Ocean Lord level. No worries. This person has offended the Venerable One once. Do you still remember? Grand Preceptor when reassured them. These people immediately remembered the Venerable One's questioning of Lin Yu yesterday, during which he even released his pressure. That pressure shocked the entire place. How could they forget? Makes sense. Could it be that even the Venerable One doesn't like this kid? Of course, if the Venerable One likes him, why would he release his pressure on him? The reason why he didn't really take his life is because Lin Yu has become the sequence, and the Venerable One is worried about our boundless sea's face. Grand Preceptor when said with certainty. After the other Ocean Lords heard this, they felt that it made sense. Fire Buddha, who had a grudge with Lin Yu from the beginning, already snorted. This kid first killed my disciple, Su Longxiang, and then offended the Venerable One. Grand Preceptor One, why don't we take him down today and take the blame for him? What the Fire Ocean Lord said makes sense. Grand Preceptor Wen's face was filled with joy. The Venerable One didn't touch him because of his sequence identity. If he really wants to kill Lin Yu, perhaps he still needs a reason. Today, we'll find a reason to share the Venerable One's worries. These people spoke one word at a time. Wen Fan Tong, Shan Qingling, and the others heard this. They realized how shameless these Ocean Lord-level people were. Soon, the four of them found a reason. Lin Yu, you seriously injured the Fire Ocean Lord. Today this seat and the others will take you down. Grand Preceptor when snorted and signaled Fire Buddha to go up. Fire Buddha was originally unwilling, but he couldn't go against the votes of the others. First, they came up with the idea of injuring themselves to gain the enemy's confidence. They had an Ocean Lord go up and beat Lin Yu up. Then, they would use this reason to take down Lin Yu. Grand Preceptor One and the others all thought that if they killed Lin Yu for this reason, the Venerable One would be extremely happy. Fire Sea Lord, what are you waiting for? Situ Jing Tian said coldly. The white-eyed wolf behind him also gave him a look, indicating for the Fire Buddha to hurry up and attack. Let's go all out, Prime Minister Long. In order to avenge you, I have no choice but to sacrifice myself. Fire Buddha gritted his teeth and charged at Lin Yu. Is he an idiot? Lin Yu's eyes were calm as he watched the Fire Buddha rush towards him. It looked like it wanted to fight him. Moreover, he had deliberately exposed a lot of flaws. It was obvious that he wanted to be beaten up by Lin Yu. This is a F***king scam. Lin Yu, you brat, die. Fire Buddha's 5 fingers formed a claw and attacked Lin Yu. Lin Yu also raised his hand, and the 5 elemental palm print gathered in his hand. Fire Buddha saw this and immediately stopped his attack. However, he was still closing in on Lin Yu. There was once someone who tried to scam me, but he died a painful death. Lin Yu said slowly. Above the 5 elemental palm print, the power of time and space overlapped. 3 times 5 elemental palm print. Lin Yu blasted out his palm. The corners of the Ocean Lord's clothes were instantly blown up by the wind. This palm, before it was even released, had such a domineering aura. While Grand Preceptor One and the others were shocked, the one who was the most shocked was the Fire Buddha, who was charging at Lin Yu. He thought that after being hit by Lin Yu's attack, he would at most be seriously injured. As long as Lin Yu seriously injured him, he would be blamed for killing an Ocean Lord. Then, Grand Preceptor One and the others would be able to take him down. But now the Fire Buddha was a little scared. He felt a sense of danger from this palm strike. A sense of danger as if he was going to die. Wait. The Fire Buddha immediately changed his posture. He wanted to retreat and defend himself. At the same time, his hands had already started to circulate his cultivation technique. However, he had already missed the best opportunity. No one could be so reckless in front of Lin Yu, because Lin Yu would not give his enemy a chance to turn the tables. Rumble. The palm energy whistled and hit the Fire Buddha. The latter immediately felt 3 powerful forces enter his body from his chest. His internal organs were torn apart at this moment. Impossible. The Fire Buddha immediately consumed a large number of elixirs. At the same time, he circulated his 4 symbols state cultivation in an attempt to block the palm energy that Lin Yu had sent into his body. However, as his internal organs were continuously destroyed by the 5 elemental palm print, the Fire Buddha's aura also instantly withered. He had been hit by Lin Yu's palm. He was only worthy of being hit by Lin Yu's palm. This Grand Preceptor One, Fire Ocean Lord, Bai Yinlang and Situ Jingtian were shocked. Why did it seem like an Ocean Lord could not withstand Lin Yu's palm? When the two of them wanted to go forward and take a look, Grand Preceptor One raised his hand and signaled them not to make a move. Save me, save me. The Fire Buddha pleaded for help from Grand Preceptor One and the others behind him. At this moment, if these people attacked at the same time with their Ocean Lord level skills, they might be able to help the Fire Buddha force out 3 times the 5 elemental palm print. However, it did not. Soon, the Fire Buddha became a corpse and fell in front of everyone. The Ocean Lord level powerhouse, who was still clamoring just now, he could not withstand Lin Yu's move and died in front of everyone. Dead silence. The air was as silent as death. Shan Qingling's heart was beating so fast that it almost jumped out of her throat. Her understanding of Lin Yu had once again been refreshed. An Ocean Lord level powerhouse who is even stronger than me. He couldn't even withstand a single palm from him and die just like that. They did not need to go forward to check the Fire Buddha's injuries. They only needed to scan with their divine will to know that the Fire Buddha was really dead. His face was filled with pain and regret for offending Lin Yu and dying. Unfortunately, this regret was too late for him to realize. Protect him. Fan Tong's words broke the current anger. Xiao Yinyao and the others immediately understood the problem. The Fire Buddha was dead. He died in Lin Yu's hands, killing an Ocean Lord level powerhouse. Even if Lin Yu was a sequence member, was destined to be punished by the Venerable One. When the Venerable One was angry, a light punishment would be crippled. A heavy punishment would be annihilation. Lin Yu, you go first. Leave the boundless sea. Go as far as you can. Xiao Yinyao pulled Lin Yu and took a few steps back. At the same time, Yang Zhu and Shan Qingling blocked Lin Yu. Seeing this, Grand Preceptor Wen knew that his evil plan had succeeded. Although he had sacrificed the Fire Buddha, that was a matter of the other seas. It had nothing to do with him. Most importantly, he had a reason to get rid of Lin Yu. Lin Yu was a sequence member and a member of the 6th Sea. If he continued to grow, his future achievements would definitely surpass his own. Even the power of the 6th Sea would rise because of Lin Yu's strength. This was an outcome that Grand Preceptor Wen did not want to see. Lin Yu, you killed the Fire Ocean Lord. You can't leave today. As soon as Grand Preceptor Wen finished speaking, Bai Yinlang, Situ Jingtian, and the rest of the Ocean Lords surrounded him. Chapter 783. You can kill me if you want. Lin Yu slowly smiled and spread his hands. He was too lazy to be afraid of these Sea Lords. Since they wanted to cause trouble, he might as well take a gamble. Lin Yu, be careful. Although Shan Qingling and the rest stood in front of Lin Yu, she was still worried because she knew that she, Xiao Yinyao, and Yang Zhu might not be able to stop these people. Just Grand Tutor when strength alone was not something that any of them could stop alone. It's fine, move aside, Lin Yu suddenly said. Shan Qingling, Yang Zhu, and the rest felt their hearts tighten. Lin Yu, Xiao Yinyao didn't agree at first. However, Lin Yu cupped his hands together and said, "Trust me." Xiao Yinyao hesitated for a moment before sighing in relief. All right, you're not a reckless child. Although Xiao Yinyao was worried, he still gave up his seat after saying this. Yang Zhu also did the same action as Xiao Yin when he saw this. Shan Qingling stepped forward and said to Lin Yu, "Lin Yu, don't mess around. You care about me that much?" Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and smiled. He suddenly felt that Shan Qingling was a little cute. You saved my life before. I naturally don't want you to die in front of me. No other meaning. Shan Qingling's eyes flashed when she said the second half of her sentence. How could this be hidden from the shrewd Lin Yu? All right, I know what I'm doing. The unlucky one today won't be me. Lin Yu patted Shan Qingling's hand. He didn't continue to expose Shan Qingling's feelings for him. Fan Tong saw Lin Yu and Shan Qingling's slight actions and his injuries immediately worsened. "Daughter, father didn't keep a close eye on you, cough." He coughed a few times. Although he felt guilty towards Fanjinjin, Fantong also understood that an outstanding young man like Lin Yu would naturally attract the opposite sex easily. This was a realm that he had not been able to reach in the past, no matter how hard he tried. The three of them stepped aside. When Grand Preceptor Wen saw that Lin Yu had no one to protect him, he laughed maniacally. The four of them charged forward, unleashing all of their power. They seemed to have reached a consensus and decided to use all of their power to take down Lin Yu from the start. First, it was the death of Tai Jian and the others. Then it was the death of the Fire Buddha. This made these people realize that Lin Yu was strange, and they couldn't underestimate him. Either he didn't make a move, or, if he did, he would kill him. He wouldn't even give him the chance to resist. "Lord Wenhai, do you want to keep him alive? There's no need. Just bring a corpse to the Venerable One and explain everything. That's enough. Then it's easy to deal with. This brat is arrogant and conceited. He didn't even put up a defense. He clearly doesn't put us ocean lords in his eyes. He deserves to die in our hands." Everyone rushed forward. Lin Yuan stood behind Lin Yu and did not move. Since Lin Yu said that he didn't need to help, then he didn't need to help. It's not that he didn't worry about Lin Yu, but that he had absolute trust in him. This kind of trust, with a bit of a blood connection, is more special than ordinary trust. Grand Preceptor Wen and others quickly approached Lin Yu. 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot. Lin Yu was still unmoved, and he didn't even put up a basic defense. Shan Qingling and others behind him were also heartbeat to the extreme, for fear that Lin Yu would play himself to death. Especially Shan Qingling and Fan Tong. They had even activated their cultivation. If necessary, they would still take action. They couldn't really watch Lin Yu die in front of them. Grand Preceptor Wen was the fastest, and his skills were the strongest. His moves were also extremely murderous. At this moment, Grand Preceptor Wen's 3 fingers formed the shape of an eagle's claw and directly aimed at Lin Yu's throat. This attack was bound to break Lin Yu's throat, and even his entire head would be knocked off by Grand Preceptor Wen. "Got him! 3 feet." Grand Preceptor Wen sneered inwardly. At this distance, with his speed, even Lin Yu wouldn't be able to resist in time. He was dead meat. 2 feet, 1 foot. However, just as Grand Preceptor Wen thought that his hand, Shan Qingling, Fan Tong, and the others had rushed over, a terrifying pressure surpassed the 4 symbols realm, the 10,000 spirits realm, and instantly reached the Spirit King realm, enveloping the entire space. As the pressure descended, Grand Preceptor Wen's attack stopped in the air at lightning speed. He was only 1 foot away, but he couldn't move an inch forward and couldn't hit Lin Yu's throat. Supremacy, supremacy. Grand Preceptor Wen's heart trembled. The boundless sea allowed infighting. In the past, the supremacy wouldn't interfere in the boundless sea's infighting. But this time, when they attacked Lin Yu, they didn't expect the supremacy to make a move. Grand Preceptor Wen and the other Sea Lords immediately had a bad feeling. As the pressure descended, the space in front of everyone suddenly shattered. The originally empty space actually shattered like a mirror in the air. A man's figure walked out of the shattered space. It was Supremacy Boundless. Greetings, Supremacy. How would Grand Preceptor Wen and the others dare to hurt Lin Yu? They could fight among themselves in the boundless sea, but when the Supremacy appeared, they couldn't hurt people in front of him, because the person in front of them was the god of the boundless sea. No one dared to be violent in front of a god. Shan Qingling's hanging heart finally calmed down. The Supremacy looked at Grand Preceptor Wen and the others, then looked at Lin Yu's appearance. He looked like he was courting death. "Do you know that he's in the sequence?" The Supremacy's cold voice sounded. Grand Preceptor Wen had been the first Sea Lord for so many years. How could he not know that the Supremacy in this state was angry? This old servant deserves to die. Grand Preceptor Wen immediately knelt down. Lin Yu killed Fire Buddha, Sea Lord. I want to take him down first, then hand him over to the Supremacy to deal with. Seeing this, the other Sea Lords also added a few words. Yes, this person is cruel and vicious. Fire Buddha admired Lin Yu's ability in the sequence, so he kindly sparred with him. I didn't expect this person to be so ruthless. He doesn't care about us, Sea Lords at all. Supremacy, please punish Lin Yu. Supremacy, please punish Lin Yu. They all knelt down and shouted at the same time. Fan Tong stood up with Xiao Yinyao's help, wanting to say a few words for Lin Yu. But the Supremacy raised his hand, indicating for everyone to shut up. Obviously, he didn't want to listen anymore. Fan Tong was very familiar with this scene. Someone like Supremacy Wuya had limited patience, so he wouldn't listen to others. Grand Preceptor Wen also knew about this, so he immediately spoke up for Fan Tong, using up the Supremacy's patience. At this moment, Fan Tong was like a mute eating Chinese medicine, unable to complain even if he wanted to. Speak. But Supremacy Wuya didn't think that Lin Yu was wrong. Instead, he asked Lin Yu. Grand Preceptor Wen and the others felt their hearts tighten. This was the first time they'd heard Supremacy Wuya ask such a gentle question. I only have one thing to say. Lin Yu's voice was equally calm, without the slightest ripple. It was as if he couldn't hear the accusations Grand Preceptor Wen and the others had made against him. Soon, Lin Yu's words once again fell into everyone's ears. I withdraw from the sequence ranking battle. Chapter 784. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air seemed to have dropped to the freezing point. The others did not dare to say a word, only incomparably shocked in their hearts. Although the position of the sequence has no real power, it represents the best future of the younger generation. But Lin Yu actually wants to give up such a bright future at this moment. However, the next moment, they were shocked again, because Lin Yuan, who had not spoken during the whole process, also took a step forward and said calmly, I also withdraw. If the two sequences withdraw from the battle of the sequence list, then who will the Boundless Sea send to compete for the sequence list? If this matter spreads out, the Boundless Sea, which is already ranked as a low-class sea, will be even more ashamed in the future. Even Venerable Wuya's face was gloomy at this moment. What? He always only cared about the result, not the reason. But this time, he took the initiative to ask. The Sixth Sea is chaotic, and everyone is scheming against each other. Even if the sequence is out, their so-called Sea Lord is jealous of the virtuous and intends to harm me. Lin Yu said word by word, and his tone suddenly became sonorous and powerful, completely different from the calmness just now. Grand Preceptor Wen and the others' hearts tightened, and beads of sweat appeared on their faces. When he wanted to defend himself, Lin Yu's second sentence interrupted him first. The Sixth Sea is not worthy of my service. The Sixth Sea is not worthy of his service. These few words were enough to thoroughly enrage Venerable Wuya. In an instant, everyone present knelt down. Even Shan Qingling, Fan Tong, and the others trembled on the ground. It's over. It's over. Lin Yu, what are you talking about? Although Grand Preceptor Wen and the others also knelt together, they were overjoyed at this moment, and some even snickered in their hearts. This Lin Yu is really rampant, daring to say such words in front of Venerable Wuya. Today, no matter how high his talent is, whether he is a sequence or not, no one can save him. Venerable Wuya's gaze fell on Lin Yu. The other party's gaze was extremely deep, as if he had thought about this decision clearly, and it was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Are you not afraid that I will kill you? Venerable Wuya said once more. At this moment, everyone's hair stood on end. When an emperor is angry, millions of corpses will fall. Venerable Wuya was the emperor of this boundless ocean. Just when they all thought that Lin Yu was dead for sure, Lin Yu just smiled and said, You can kill me. Before Reverend Boundless could respond, Lin Yu waved his hand and continued. However, the strong care about their reputation. If the two echelon cultivators of the Boundless Sea die today, then your reputation will die as well. As soon as he said this, everyone lowered their heads again. This Lin Yu is crazy. He was still angering the Venerable One. These people cursed in their hearts. They were afraid that Lin Yu's actions would implicate them. By then, the Venerable One would not only kill Lin Yu, but they would also be implicated. Compared to my life, Lin Yu believes that the Venerable One should pay more attention to your reputation. Lin Yu said again. After all, when Lin Yu was trapped on the same day, he had already understood the psychology of many powerhouses from the perspective of a mortal. The gap between him and Venerable Wuya was the gap between him and those powerhouses of the sovereign realm and the law realm. However, in Lin Yu's opinion, these two realms were no longer qualified. However, he understood that human nature had similarities. No matter how strong Venerable Wuya was, he was still human. Powerhouses had two common problems. First, they liked to look down on the weak. Therefore, no matter what threats Lin Yu said, as long as he wasn't afraid, these powerhouses would instead look at him with respect. However, in Venerable Wuya's eyes, people like Grand Preceptor One and Fan Tong were nothing more than obedient dogs. He wouldn't even look at them, much less praise them. Second, there was the problem of his reputation. The more people knew about a powerhouse, the more they paid attention to their reputation. Those hidden powerhouses were naturally an exception. However, Lin Yu knew that powerhouses like Venerable Wuya were both the master of the boundless sea and a powerhouse on the divine god list. When everyone thought that Lin Yu was courageous enough to say such a death-seeking sentence, they heard Lin Yu's second sentence. The Venerable One can't kill us, but Lin Yuan and I can seek refuge in other seas. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth rose, and his face showed strong confidence. No sea will reject the sequence of another sea, because accepting us also proves that they are stronger than the boundless sea. It was the same provocative sentence, and it had already made Venerable Wuya's face gloomy to the extreme. This person was really courting death. Grand Preceptor One and the others had been thinking that Lin Yu was dead for sure, but they didn't know why the Venerable One hadn't killed Lin Yu until now. Instead, he repeatedly asked for the reason and even warned him, and this warning was now refuted by Lin Yu, which made the Venerable One's gaze become even more gloomy. Unfortunately, the scene of the Venerable One killing Lin Yu in anger that they were looking forward to didn't happen. Well, this matter is the fault of others. This sentence reached everyone's ears. Everyone thought that they had heard it wrong. What did he mean? The Venerable One compromised? He was repeatedly contradicted by Lin Yu. So how did it become the fault of others? But when they came back to their senses, they knelt on the ground and secretly glanced at the Venerable One, only to see the Venerable One patting Lin Yu's shoulder with one hand. His appearance didn't have the appearance of anger just now. It was clearly full of the kindness of a senior to a junior. Clap, clap. The sound of two palms patting on the shoulder was heard, and these people clearly saw that Venerable Wuya actually revealed a smile. Lin Yu, think about it again. This sentence didn't have much tone, and it sounded gentle, but it exploded in everyone's heart like thunder. It wasn't that this sentence was domineering, but that this sentence was a little strange. They had never heard the Venerable One speak to others in such a tone. Even when facing other powerhouses and ocean lord-level figures, the Venerable One had always used a commanding tone. Where did this kindness and gentleness come from when he was speaking to Lin Yu? The Venerable One naturally knew how these people viewed him, but he didn't care. Compared to those below who were angry but didn't dare to speak up, if he lost face and lost his place on the celestial god list and really caused Lin Yu to flee to other seas, if he couldn't even bring out 2 sequences in a few days, then where would he put his face in the 3 realms? This was what the Venerable One was truly concerned about. It could be said that every word Lin Yu said just now struck Venerable Wuya's heart. He was right. Powerhouses cared about face and reputation the most. Seeing that Lin Yu still didn't speak, Venerable Wuya could see that Lin Yu was no longer as resolute as before. This meant that he had changed his mind, but was also waiting for him to reveal his true sincerity. Today, you have suffered grievances. As a master of the boundless sea, I indeed have to do something. Venerable Wuya's voice suddenly turned cold. Grand Preceptor One stepped forward. Chapter 785. Grand Preceptor One stepped forward. Venerable Wuya's words shook Grand Preceptor Wen. His mind rumbled. With his many years of experience, he already guessed that something bad was going to happen. Venerable One, this has nothing to do with me. Grand Preceptor Wen didn't get up. Instead, he maintained his kneeling position and crawled over to beg for mercy. Venerable Wuya ignored him and looked at Lin Yu. Does it have anything to do with him? Nothing, nothing. It was the Fire Buddha who challenged Lin Yu. Grand Preceptor Wen shouted. He was sure that the Venerable One wanted to avenge Lin Yu. The Venerable One allowed the sequence to kill an Ocean Lord. Moreover, when others were making things difficult for the sequence, the Venerable One would stand up for him. This time it was over. Venerable Wuya didn't hear the Grand Preceptor's words. He was waiting for Lin Yu's reply. At this moment, Grand Preceptor Wen's life seemed to be in Lin Yu's hands. Lin Yu, I didn't hurt you, right? Grand Preceptor Wen naturally realized this. He knelt on the ground and pulled Lin Yu's leg. Lin Yu, if I've offended you before, I'm willing to apologize. However, what happened just now has nothing to do with me. It was the Fire Buddha who deliberately made things difficult for you because of Su Longxiang's death. Lin Yu looked down and saw the high and mighty First Ocean Lord crawling in front of him. He smiled and slowly squatted down. He said in Grand Preceptor Wen's ear, "It doesn't matter who wants to touch me. However, Fan Jinjin is my woman. Fan Jinjin is my woman." These words were like 8 claps of thunder that exploded in Grand Preceptor Wen's mind. Lin Yu, Grand Preceptor Wen wanted to refute, but Lin Yu had already stood up and said to the Venerable One, "If it has nothing to do with him, why do you feel so guilty?" Venerable Wuya thought that Lin Yu would say something about evidence. However, he didn't. Lin Yu only used the simplest and most violent method, guilty conscience. As he said, if it had nothing to do with this matter, why was Grand Preceptor Wen so afraid of death and begging for mercy? Wasn't it because he had a guilty conscience? This old man can explain. Grand Preceptor Wen wanted to say something, but Lin Yu already had the intention to kill. 2 legs. Lin Yu only said 3 words. Venerable Wuya finally understood what was going on. A wave of pressure swept over, and Grand Preceptor Wen's 2 legs were directly chopped off by the pressure. Blood splattered everywhere, splashing onto the other ocean lords who were with him. But at this moment, these people didn't even dare to move. They allowed the blood to splash onto their bodies and stain their lofty sea master-level robes. Grand Preceptor Wen's pained howls could be heard continuously. Lin Yu didn't even look at him. He didn't want Grand Preceptor Wen's life, because he was giving Venerable Wuya a way out. You can't go to the extreme, and you can't use up all the favors you've done. Breaking Grand Preceptor Wen's 2 legs to let everyone know his attitude was enough. However, Grand Preceptor Wen was the first Ocean Lord after all, the strongest person under Venerable Wuya. If Venerable Wuya really killed Grand Preceptor Wen, perhaps Venerable Wuya would really kill Grand Preceptor Wen in order for Lin Yu and Lin Yuan to smoothly participate in the rankings. But at the same time, Lin Yu used up the face that Venerable Wuya gave him. At that moment, Lin Yu's favorable impression in his heart would also be lost. "Thank you, Venerable, for upholding justice for me," Lin Yu said while clasping his fists. Lin Yuan on the side also clasped his fists at the same time. This scene meant that this matter had come to an end. Situ Jingtian and the others were extremely scared. Today, several Ocean Lords came to find trouble with Fan Tong because they each had their own ulterior motives. Grand Preceptor Wen wanted to kill Fan Tong, and the others also wanted to settle accounts because their subordinates died in the hands of Lin Yu and Lin Yuan. But today's outcome was already obvious. Although Fan Tong was injured, but the Fire Buddha was dead, and Grand Preceptor Wen's legs were broken. He was destined to be half a cripple. The first Ocean Lord will inevitably decline from now on. As for the disciple brought by Grand Preceptor Wen, he was already scared out of his wits when he saw Grand Preceptor Wen's legs were broken. He knelt on the ground and trembled. It is estimated that in this life, Lin Yu will become his nightmare. There is no need for Lin Yu to make a move again. This person will not be of any use in the future. We will set off in an hour. Venerable Wuya left a sentence, and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Those ocean lords dared to slowly get up after confirming that Venerable Wuya had left. The people who opposed Lin Yu just now also left quickly after apologizing again and again, not daring to provoke Lin Yu again. The people of the first Ocean Lord pulled away the half-dead Grand Preceptor one. For a long time, they wouldn't even dare see Lin Yu's face. Fan Tong saw Lin Yu stand up for him. Although he also noticed the unusual relationship between Dan Qingling and Lin Yu, he could only sigh with emotion. "My daughter, you have good taste." He didn't know if Fan Jinjin could accept the constant stream of beauties by Lin Yu's side, but it was inevitable for the strong. Fan Tong also knew that Lin Yu was helpless against this. The group rested for a while. Thanks to Lin Yu's pills, Fan Tong's injuries were much better. "Your pills are miraculous. I can't believe they healed me so quickly," Fan Tong exclaimed. What he didn't know was that Lin Yu had secretly reset space-time. However, he didn't reset it to the time before Fan Tong's injuries. He only reset it halfway. There were too many unknowns in this world for Lin Yu. He needed to preserve his space-time value for emergencies. As for Lin Yu's current space-time value, when he first checked it, space-time value, 878. 88. Lin Yu knew that this wasn't real space-time value. It was the key to the gathering place of all the prodigies in the Sky Desert universe. With this key, he would be able to find the place where the prodigies were and gather with them. He looked at it again. Space-time, question mark, 8. After the battle with Ling Xiao, he had 14 million space-time value left. That should be enough. Space-time value could be accumulated over time, increasing a little every day. Therefore, Lin Yu wasn't afraid that he would use it all up one day. Still, there was nothing wrong with saving a little. As for Fan Tong and the others, after they recovered from their injuries, they sent Lin Yu to the Venerable One's place. Lin Yu and the others were going to the Sequencer City. "Kid, I can't go there with you. I don't have the right, so be careful," Fan Tong exhorted. Lin Yu didn't have time to nod, but suddenly, in another direction of the boundless sea, an incomparably strong earthquake came. The others were shocked. However, Lin Yu and Fan Tong both had a bad feeling about this. The earthquake came from the 6th sea domain. Only Fan Jinjin and the army were guarding the 6th sea domain. But now there was such a big earthquake. Lin Yu could feel that the power of the earthquake was beyond the 10,000 spirits realm. Something happened there. Chapter 786. Something happened in the sea. Fan Tong's heart tightened, and without waiting for the others to react, he took the lead and rushed out. The direction he was heading was the 6th sea. In Fan Tong's heart, nothing was more important than Fan Jinjin. At this moment, Fan Jinjin obviously had an accident. "Master!" Lin Yuan didn't know what happened, and only waited for Lin Yu's order. Lin Yu also said something to him, and then went to the Venerable Hall. He was different from Fan Tong, and he was more far-sighted. If Fan Tong went to the 6th sea, and it was useless, then the best way was to let Venerable Wuya do it himself. The feeling of the fluctuation just now had made Lin Yu sure that something terrible had happened in the 6th sea. At this moment, Lin Yu had already arrived at the hall where Venerable Wuya was. I already know. Venerable Wuya didn't wait for Lin Yu to speak, taking the initiative to speak first. And from his expression, this was the first time Lin Yu had seen him reveal a frown. Lin Yu's expression also turned solemn when he saw a supreme expert acting like this. But so many years of temperament told him that he must be calm in this kind of situation. "Venerable Wuya, please make a trip to the 6th sea," Lin Yu said with a fist salute. At the same time, Lin Yuan also came forward and said the same thing. With the status of the two of them, saying this sentence to Venerable Wuya at the same time would make Venerable Wuya think carefully. "Let's go." Venerable Wuya didn't think for long, stood up, and came to the side of the two. The next moment, a teleportation force enveloped the three of them. Outside the first sea, the three figures appeared and turned into a stream of light running through the sea at an amazing speed, passing through countless sea areas and sea beasts. Lin Yu soon saw Fan Tong below, but compared to Venerable Wu Ya's speed, Fan Tong was obviously much slower. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan also came to the 6th sea under the guidance of Venerable Wu Ya. This place had already become a stretch of ruins. After the war with the 8th sea, the 6th sea was originally full of holes. Now, all of the buildings had turned into ruins and collapsed. Not a single complete palace remained. Lin Yu was worried that something had happened to Fan Jinjin. He spread out his divine sense and looked down. As soon as he landed, he felt a shocking power. The source of this power was in Fan Jinjin's palace. Lin Yu erupted with all his cultivation and instantly closed in. However, just as he approached, a beam of red light shot up into the sky and destroyed Fan Jinjin's palace once again. Lin Yu was affected by this red light. His peak equilibrium realm 3 elemental fusion realm burst forth. Coupled with the defense of the Buddha Garuda, was unable to withstand the red light for even an instant. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated a few steps. However, Lin Yu knew that now was not the time to heal. He activated his space-time value and immediately reset his injuries. And by the time he raised his head to look at the red light, Venerable Boundless had already attacked. What are the people of the primitive continent doing in my realm sea? Venerable Wu Ya's voice was cold to the extreme. At the same time, it was filled with dense killing intent as a palm blasted out. In an instant, the entire sky above the boundless sea was covered by a palm energy. This palm energy crushed down, causing the sea to churn and the 33 seas to tremble. As for the red light, it paused for a moment under the power of the palm. Within the red light, a similar palm energy shot up into the sky and collided with Venerable Boundless palm energy. That palm energy was no match for Venerable Boundless at first, but soon a tyrannical suction force erupted from the palm energy. Before Venerable Boundless could react, his palm energy was completely neutralized by the other party. And that red light also broke through the sky and left the boundless sea. This person did not have the slightest intention to continue fighting. So, even if Venerable Boundless wanted to chase at this moment, it was already too late. Above 10,000 souls, someone at the Spirit King realm, Venerable Boundless narrowed his eyes and sank into contemplation. Spirit King realm, the cultivation method of the primitive continent. Which power did this person belong to? He actually dared to break the rules of the 3 realms and invade the realm sea. And in the central region of the realm sea, a gaze opened at the same time. That gaze instantly enveloped the entire realm sea and locked onto the direction the red light left in. Primitive continent, Buddha Lord, you should give me an explanation. The voice boomed above the realm sea, causing the sea to churn endlessly. This battle seemed to have broken the peaceful relationship between the realm sea and the primitive continent for 1,000 years. Within the boundless sea, Lin Yu came out from Fan Jinjin's palace in disappointment. Fan Jinjin was not in the palace, and Lin Yu spread out his divine perception, but he could not find any trace of her at all. In the entire 6th sea, there was no one alive. At this moment, Fan Tong also dared to come. Looking at the scene in front of him, he immediately asked Lin Yu. After knowing that Fan Jinjin's whereabouts were unknown, Fan Tong immediately shed tears. It's them, Fan Tong said repeatedly. And Lin Yu also frowned and comforted him. There's no corpse of Jinjin, which means she's not dead yet. Lin Yu recalled the red light that soared into the sky from Fan Jinjin's palace. He turned to the Venerable One, clasped his hands, and asked, Venerable One, may I ask if there were 2 auras in that red light? Although Venerable Wu Ya could not keep them here, he was certain of this point. It seemed that Venerable Wu Ya had guessed something after seeing Fan Tong's appearance. That person took Fan Jinjin away. He was sure that he was not mistaken. Hearing this, Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. At least the other party did not immediately kill her, which proved that keeping Fan Jinjin alive was still necessary for them. This way, at least Fan Jinjin would not be harmed in a short period of time. After telling this news to Fan Tong's complexion recovered a little. He grabbed Lin Yu's hand and said, Lin Yu is from the Nangong family. Nangong Ming's people? Lin Yu remembered that Fan Jinjin's mother was from the Nangong family. And as he recalled, the move that the other party had used against Venerable Boundless just now also seemed to have a familiar feeling. It seemed to be the devouring starry sky. Thinking of this, Lin Yu went to the place where he comprehended the devouring starry sky. As expected, there were still traces left behind by the aura in the red light. That person had been here, and inside the cave, there were also traces of being rummaged through. He came to find this thing? Lin Yu touched his chest. Nangong Ming had inserted the devouring starry sky into his body. And from Nangong Ming's memories, the Nangong family on the primitive continent also had the devouring starry sky, and that devouring starry sky was a set. But Lin Yu's body was the main one. The other party came to find the main devouring starry sky that Nangong Ming had taken away back then. Lin Yu did not tell anyone about this guess, but he was basically certain now that they had taken Fan Jinjin away for the main devouring starry sky. As long as he had the main devouring starry sky, Fan Jinjin's life would not be in danger. Chapter 787. The Nangong Family. She's really my daughter, not a member of her Nangong family. Fan Tong shouted, rising to his feet as if he'd made up his mind. I'm here to bring you back. Just as he was about to attack, he was stopped by Lin Yu. Child, what are you doing? Lin Yu could understand Fan Tong's emotional turmoil, but his tone remained calm. Lin Yu knew that no amount of consolation would work, so he only said, I'll bring Jinjin back. His words carried an undeniable weight that calmed Fan Tong down. Fan Tong immediately calmed down. He never would have guessed a young man like him would be so determined. Had it been anyone else in the boundless sea, Fan Tong wouldn't have believed them. But Lin Yu gave him the feeling that he was incomparably firm. That was a gaze of absolute trust. I understand. Fan Tong calmed down. He knew that in his current state, even facing Grand Preceptor one would require Lin Yu to save the day, not to mention facing off against the colossal Nangong family. The top families of the primitive continent were as powerful as the entire boundless sea. Fan Tong, on the other hand, was only the lord of the Sixth Sea. Compared to the Nangong family, he'd have trouble even becoming a minor family head. I'll go to the primitive continent to help you look for her. Honorable Wu Ya said this to Fan Tong out of respect for Lin Yu. Normally, he wouldn't have bothered with such small matters. But he was the lord of the boundless sea, and someone from the primitive continent had stepped into his territory to capture someone. This was a slap to his face. Honorable Wu Ya this. Fan Tong was flattered, but Lin Yu said, Thank you for your trouble, Honorable Wu Ya. But Fan Jinjin is mine, and I'll go get her myself. Honorable Wu Ya narrowed his eyes. He hadn't expected this kid to be so confident. Could it be that the expert in the red light didn't scare him? Thinking of this, Venerable Wu Ya didn't forget to take down Lin Yu's spirit a bit, so he reminded him, that person's cultivation is not below mine, and when he fought with me, the cultivation method he used had already surpassed the level of ordinary cultivation methods. Reverend Wu Ya paused for a moment before continuing. It seems to be a sacred art. He originally thought that Lin Yu would be a little surprised, but who knew that the other's gaze was still calm and unperturbed. You noticed it too? Venerable Wu Ya asked probingly. Yes. Lin Yu just nodded casually. When are we leaving for Sequencer City? The Sequencer City is located in the primordial continent. When the time comes to gather the younger generation of the three realms, we'll be able to see if there are any clues. Venerable Wu Ya didn't know who this person was, so he didn't have much information. He was still guessing the other party's background. As for Fan Tong and Lin Yu, although they knew who the other party was, they didn't say anything at this moment. After all, the fewer people who know about Fan Jinjin's background, the safer Fan Jinjin will be. We can go now. After Venerable Wu Ya finished speaking, he saw that Lin Yuan and Lin Yu were both here, so he didn't stop. He took the two people and once again shrouded in the light of teleportation. This teleportation was similar to Lin Yu's in the Sky Desert universe, but the distance wasn't as far as the sky desert universe. The next moment, the three people had already arrived in the sky above the boundless sea. Lin Yu guessed that even with Venerable Wu Ya's cultivation, he could only teleport freely in the boundless sea. Once out of the boundless sea, he would need to step on air like other martial cultivators. Are we going directly to the sequencer city? Lin Yu asked. Venerable Wu Ya nodded. Yes, we don't have to wait for people from other sea regions. They're used to being alone, not to mention. Venerable Wu Ya said meaningfully, it's not only the people of the primitive continent and the heavenly domain who are opponents of you too, even the other sequences of the world sea are your opponents. There is no distinction between three realms in the sequence battle, but it is a time for the younger generation to show their strength and let hundreds of millions of creatures see the light of potential in you. When Venerable Wu Ya's voice fell, even Lin Yu and Lin Yuan were looking forward to it. The powerhouses in the sequencer city must be more powerful than the opponents they had encountered before. You can fight well, Lin Yu said to Lin Yuan. The latter nodded excitedly. Lin Yu raised the corners of his mouth, knowing that Lin Yuan was originally a monster. His strength needs to be slowly reflected in countless battles. Only constant fighting can make Lin Yuan progress. The three people moved forward quickly, encountering several streams of light on the way, and also approaching the sequencer city in a very fast way. It's people from other sea regions, Venerable Wu Ya said. The 7 great sea regions of the world, sea, have 7 venerables, and the strength of these people may not be weaker than Venerable Wu Ya. Therefore, this trip is not only a battle of sequences, but also an opportunity for Spirit King realm powerhouses to gather. How many powerhouses of the Heavenly God list are there in the world sea? Lin Yu asked curiously. The sequence ranking is not his goal, the Heavenly God list is. Especially the third ranker of the Heavenly God list, the powerhouse who had disappeared for countless years. When Lin Yu heard of his legend, he always felt a sense of familiarity. 8. Venerable Wu Ya said, the venerables of the 7 great sea regions, plus the master of the world sea, a total of 8. Lin Yu nodded. The Heavenly God list has a total of 30. And there are 8 in the world sea, the other 2 great forces, plus those small forces that don't belong to the 3 realms, a total of 22 powerhouses of the Heavenly God list. This distribution is reasonable. Don't worry, the people of the Heavenly God list won't fight in the sequencer city. This is the rule. Venerable Wu Ya thought that Lin Yu was worried about this point, so he reminded him. But what Lin Yu cared about was, who set the rule? Venerable Wu Ya smiled. Naturally, it's the first ranker of the Heavenly God list, the 6-winged Divine King. Only the first ranker of the Heavenly God list can make all the powerhouses of the Heavenly God list accept him wholeheartedly. The 3 of them quickly moved forward, already leaving several sea regions. In front of them, a boundless brown continent appeared. This continent is incomparably large, the largest continent that Lin Yu has ever seen. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that even if the sky desert universe were to expand 10 times, it might not be as large as this continent. And just as Lin Yu and the other 2 were about to land, beneath the world sea, seawater actually surged. A massive wave that surged to the heavens suddenly blocked the 3 of them. Facing the massive wave, the 3 of them stopped at the same time. Venerable Wu Ya's gaze was calm, casually waving his hand. That massive wave scattered, but behind the massive wave, a massive dragon head stretched out. This dragon head was the size of a 1,000,000-foot mountain range, and the dragon head was connected beneath the world sea. Clearly, even more parts were hidden beneath the world sea. It was hard to imagine just how massive the entire dragon body was. Lord Sea God. Chapter 788. Venerable Wu Ya put his palms together, and when he saw the dragon head, he changed his usual aloof appearance and bowed with his fists. The Poseidon didn't speak, but glanced at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with his huge dragon eyes. Venerable Wu Ya looked a little nervous. He didn't know why the Poseidon of the Realm Sea would appear. Obviously, Lin Yu observed the reaction of Venerable Wuya and knew that the status of the Poseidon was probably higher than his in this Realm Sea. Lin Yu pays respect to Lord Poseidon. Since it was a more powerful thigh, Lin Yu naturally couldn't neglect it. Seeing this, Lin Yuan also learned from Lin Yu and bowed. "You shouldn't be here." The voice of the Poseidon came, but Venerable Wuya and Lin Yuan didn't react at all. Lin Yu immediately realized that this was what the Poseidon said to him alone. "Why can't I be here?" Lin Yu asked with a frown. The Poseidon's gaze was still on Lin Yu, and he paused for a long time without speaking. Venerable Wuya also stood in the air, not daring to say a word. The three just waited. Half an hour later, the Poseidon continued to transmit his voice. "Old friend, it seems that you have forgotten." It was similar words again. Lin Yu couldn't help but look solemn. The existence of the Poseidon was like a great demon of heaven and earth that had lived for thousands of years. He said such a sentence, which was exactly the same as what Ling Xiao had said in the beginning. "What did I forget?" Lin Yu asked again. The Poseidon hesitated for a moment before saying, "You will know in the future, old friend. This is your predestined fate and also your good fortune." After saying that, a crystal bead flew over the dragon eyes of the Poseidon. The bead was noticed by Venerable Wuya, and the latter's mind immediately roared. "Dragon bead!" As soon as his voice fell, he saw the dragon bead fall into Lin Yu's hands. "Old friend, in times of crisis, you can activate the dragon bead. This time, I hope you can take back the glory that belongs to you." The sea god left behind another sentence. From beginning to end, Lin Yuan and Venerable Wuya didn't hear a single word. It was as if Poseidon had specifically come to find Lin Yu. Following the dragon head entering, Realm Sea regained its calm once more. Venerable Boundless let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the palm-sized crystal bead in Lin Yu's hand. "You know the sea god?" Looking at Venerable Wuya's astonished expression, Lin Yu could only slowly say, "An old acquaintance." He didn't know the sea god, but the sea god knew him, so he had to act tough. Why didn't you say so earlier?" After Lin Yu put away the Dragon Balls, the three of them continued forward. Venerable Boundless thought to himself that he was lucky that he hadn't offended Lin Yu before. Otherwise, when the sea god descended, he feared that he would be the one to suffer a calamity. The Venerable One seems to be very afraid of the sea god. Lin Yu deliberately asked tentatively. After experiencing Lin Yu's act, Venerable Boundless thought that Lin Yu also knew about the sea god situation. He naturally took the bait easily and told him everything. "Don't tell me you don't know about the existence of other divine beasts besides the sea god? Please tell me, Venerable." The sequence list is the list of the younger generation of a human race. The divine god list is the ranking of the strongest of the human race. In the 3 realms and 5 regions, there are not only the human race, but also the monster beasts. The monster beasts and the human race coexist, and the monster beast bodies are tyrannical, far stronger than that of the human race. Their lifespans are also longer. The strength of the monster beasts that have lived for tens of millions of years is not something that the human race can match. Therefore, the 6-winged divine king once set up another list for the monster beasts, called the demon god list, which means that it is on par with the divine god list. It also shows that the 6-winged divine king, as the strongest of the human race, attaches great importance to the monster beasts. It is because of the demon god list that the monster beasts and the human race share the world. Therefore, the conflicts of tens of millions of years were avoided. As Venerable Boundless spoke, he was deeply impressed by the 6-winged divine king. Under the divine king's conferment, the first on the demon god list became the heavenly region's guardian god. The first on the demon god list. Yes, the first on the demon god list, the phoenix god. It devours the solar golden flame and is a monster beast with the purest yang energy in the 3 realms and 5 regions. It is also worthy of being called the strongest monster beast. As for our sea god, he is from the dragon race with the purest Yin energy. He coexists with the cold air of the border sea and has the strength to match the phoenix god. However, in the divine king's eyes, the sea god is slightly inferior, so he is ranked second on the demon god list. As for the third on the demon god list, it is the guardian god of the primitive continent. Before Venerable Boundless finished speaking, the three of them had already entered the primitive continent. On the continent, Linyu had just landed when he felt an extremely strong pressure. This pressure did not come from above the primitive continent, but from below. There was something below the continent. Linyu thought in his heart. Venerable Boundless also stopped talking about the demon god list. I will tell you in detail about the demon god list in the future. Let's go in first. As he walked, he also began to pay attention to the people around him. Looks like the people from the sky region have not arrived yet. That's right. These guys always think that they're the rulers of the 3 realms and 5 regions, so they like to appear last. Venerable Boundless muttered and continued. There is a rule in the sequencing monarch city. The Spirit King realm is not allowed to fight. I came with you only to watch the battle. The other experts on the demon god list will not fight, so you can rest assured. There should be myriad spirit realm experts in the sequence battle, right? Linyu asked. Venerable Boundless smiled. Of course. The weakest is probably the 4 symbols realm. There should be quite a number of myriad spirit realm experts, so the 2 of you should be careful. The 2 of them looked at each other and did not have any fear at all. Back then, Ling Zhao's combat strength was infinitely close to the myriad spirit realm, but he still could not withstand Lin Yu's space-time reset punch. As for these people now, although their realms might be stronger than Ling Zhao, their foundation was definitely not as strong as Ling Zhao's. After all, Lin Yu had guessed that Ling Zhao and the Sky Desert universe appeared together. Tens of millions of years ago, Ling Zhao's realm could already form a world of his own. How could the younger generation look down on him? Aren't they from the Boundless Sea? However, before Lin Yu and the other 2 entered the primitive continent's main city gate, they heard a strange voice. Venerable Boundless stopped and looked behind him. There were also 3 people walking over. The leader's combat strength was so strong that he burst out with a shocking pressure. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan immediately knew that he was in the Spirit King realm. As for the other 2, they were also 4 symbols realm experts. Chaos Demon Venerable, how have you been? Venerable Boundless casually greeted with a fist salute. Chaos Demon Venerable laughed. He was tall and dark, giving people a feeling that it was difficult for strangers to get close to him. At this moment, he stared at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with a strange smile on his face. Boundless, you are getting worse and worse. Why did you bring a person with no cultivation to participate in the sequence battle? Chaos Demon Venerable ridiculed without holding back. Chapter 789. Lin Yu could already tell that this person was hostile towards him. There were also the 2 4 symbols realm powerhouses behind him. The person on the left had a pair of wings on his back, and his face was half human and half eagle. Clearly, he was not a normal human. Although the person on the right looked like a human, there were a few scars on his face, and the calluses on his right hand were extremely thick. Those were calluses that could only be formed by using weapons all year round. This person was proficient in weapons, and Lin Yu could tell from his calluses that it was not a light weapon. It should be a spear or a broadsword. I'm just bringing the juniors here to have some fun. I'm not like Supremacy Chaos Demon, who brought his 2 inner disciples here. Venerable Wuya coldly laughed. Master, I can see that these 2 brothers from the Boundless Sea are extremely powerful. Would it be possible for me to spar with them? Hearing Venerable Wuya's words, the half-human, half-demon 4-symbol stage expert from the Chaotic Demon Sea also spoke. This was a provocation. You and I are both from the low-class sea region. What's there to fight about? The mid-class and upper-class people will be here soon. Venerable Wuya had the intention to decline. Seeing this, how could that half-human, half-demon let it go so easily? Senior Wuya is right. We are all people from the lower sea region, so we should naturally learn from each other and improve ourselves. Otherwise, how can we fight against people from the upper sea region? My disciple is right. Venerable Chaos Demon thought that the people of the boundless sea were afraid to fight. Naturally, he would not miss the opportunity to add insult to injury. When the time came, any sequence expert would be an enemy. For now, he would deal with as many as he could. Not to mention, Supremacy Chaos Demon and Supremacy Boundless had a personal grudge. I'm Cheong-Chi, a half-demon from the chaotic demonic sea. Who's going first? The half-demon Cheong-Chi took a step forward and flapped its wings. Immediately, a storm formed between the six of them. He sneered and looked at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan. Or both of you can come together. Venerable Wu Ya's mood immediately turned bad. He didn't want to stir up trouble so early, but there was nothing he could do about it. Kind people were easily bullied. Even though the chaotic demon sea was similarly a lower sea region of the realm sea. However, in the lower current sea region, there were also their own battles. This was especially true for Supremacy Chaos Demon, who was already displeased with him. The reason for this was because he was one rank higher than him on the Heavenly God list. Since this junior is so interested, Brother Wu Ya, you won't refuse, right? Honorable Chaos Demon's laughter rang out. Clearly, he wasn't sincerely asking for honorable boundless opinion, because in the next instant, he had already indicated for the half-monster Cheong-Chi to attack. Let me do it. Lin Yuan took a step forward, but a shadow suddenly flashed beside him. It was Lin Yu attacking at an even faster speed. So you have a cultivation base. Seeing Lin Yu attack, the half-demon Cheong-Chi made its own judgment. It also flapped its wings at an extremely fast speed and shot out towards Lin Yu. As for Lin Yu, the corners of his mouth curled up as he gathered the 5 elemental palm in his palm and clashed with the Cheong-Chi's claw. The second heaven of 4 symbols? Lin Yu had already determined his opponent's strength the moment they clashed. As for Cheong-Chi, he knew nothing about Lin Yu's combat strength. When Cheong-Chi's claw was blocked by the 5 elemental palm, he flapped his wings and disappeared from a spot. At their level, they were no longer fools who would easily underestimate their opponents. Therefore, Cheong-Chi didn't hold back, because the first exchange of blows with Lin Yu was enough to attract his attention. Unfortunately, when Cheong-Chi burst out with extreme speed, Lin Yu also smiled faintly. He activated his black feathers, and a pair of wings suddenly burst out from his back. Are you the only one with wings? The pair of wings were deep and dark, 100 times more beautiful than Cheong-Chi's wings, as if an exquisite work of art had appeared on Lin Yu's back. With a casual flap of his wings, the storm suddenly subsided, and Lin Yu's figure turned into a black light and rushed out. Exalted Chaos Demon and Exalted Boundless were stunned when they saw this scene. Cheong-Chi was half monster, half human, so it wasn't strange for him to have wings. However, Lin Yu looked at him and saw that he was completely human. Why did he have wings? This kid is indeed related to the sky region. Supremacy Wu Ya confirmed his guess. Coupled with the sea god and Lin Yu's acquaintance, could this kid be the reincarnation of some important figure? Otherwise, why would the sea god appear personally? That was a top-tier expert that even the 6-winged divine king was wary of. Supremacy Wu Ya became even more vigilant at the thought. Although spirit kings couldn't attack in the sequence monarch city, he could use his aura to stop Cheong-Chi. Supremacy Wu Ya was just in case. If Lin Yu was injured by Cheong-Chi, he could save Lin Yu immediately. However, Supremacy Wu Ya's worries were proven to be unnecessary in the next moment. Lin Yu caught up to Cheong-Chi. Darn it, why are you so fast? Cheong-Chi turned pale with fright. Lin Yu not only dodged several of his attacks, but also attacked him at an even faster speed. If he had not burned his cultivation to dodge a few attacks, he was afraid that he would have been hit several times by Lin Yu. And since Lin Yu had attacked, he naturally wouldn't give his opponent a chance to catch his breath. The next moment, Buddha's roar erupted as the black wings transformed into golden wings. It was in the form of a golden-winged rock. Coupled with Buddha's roar and the speed boost from the black wings, he caught up to Cheong-Chi. Bastard, I'm the strongest expert of the Chaos Demon C's younger generation. How can I lose to you?" As Cheong-Chi roared, his demonic aura erupted. However, under the golden light, the dominance of the divine ability made his demonic aura stagnate for an instant, as though it had met its nemesis. All it took was an instant for Lin Yu to slam into his body. A violent boom resounded through the sky. Sequence Monarch City was located at the edge of the primitive continent. It was a city that was designated separately, and most of the people in Sequence Monarch City came from the primitive continent. At that moment, when these people looked over, they could only sense the powerful battle fluctuations. It looks like the sequence battle this time will be very intense. Isn't that so? They haven't even entered Sequence Monarch City, and the battle has already begun. I wonder which faction is so impatient. I saw just now. It seems to be those people from the Realm C's despicable sea region. What a joke. The true big shots haven't appeared yet, so why are they so anxious? Outside Monarch City, Supremacy Chaos Demon cursed inwardly. Oh no. But just as he was about to attack, a nomological stream of light appeared on his body. The stream of light was faintly discernible, as though it wasn't dangerous at all. However, Supremacy Chaos Demon did not dare move at all because of the stream of light. This was because the stream of light represented the rules of Sequence Monarch City. Spirit monarchs were not allowed to attack, and this rule was set by the six-winged, godly monarch. Even if Supremacy Chaos Demon had 10,000 guts, he wouldn't dare defy it. Insolent. You dare injure others when sparring? Supremacy Chaos Demon bellowed coldly as he shot a look at another Sequence Monarch from Chaos Demon C behind him. That Sequence Monarch immediately understood and rapidly went forward. Domineering Saber Guyi, please enlighten me. Chapter 790. This person knew that the half-monster Cheong-Chi was about to be defeated, so he directly joined the battle with a tough attitude. Lin Yuan wanted to make a move, but in the next moment, he heard a mournful cry. It was the half-monster Cheong-Chi's painful roar. At the location where he and Lin Yu were fighting just now, two black shadows, one above and one below, smashed into the ground. The ground collapsed, and a deep pit was directly smashed out. Before Domineering Blade Go, Yi could make a move. Two figures appeared in the deep pit as dust and stones fell. One was standing, and the other was being stepped on. Lin Yu looked down at the half-monster Cheong-Chi below with a calm and indifferent gaze. His wings had been broken, and his whole body was dripping with blood. Since the other party had made a move, he would not be polite. Domineering Blade Guyi, who originally wanted to get involved, also felt a sense of dread when he saw this scene. The half-monster Cheong-Chi was obviously dead, but what made Domineering Blade Guyi not dare to make a move casually was Lin Yu's aura. It was calm and without waves. It was as if the battle with the half-monster Cheong-Chi just now did not consume much of his physical strength. This boy still had the strength to continue fighting. Do you want to try to? Lin Yu looked over. He was obviously young, but the domineering intent in his eyes made Domineering Blade Gu Yi feel a chill down his spine. Domineering Blade Gu Yi was speechless for a long time. He did not need to say it. Behind him, Venerable Chaos Demon also realized that Lin Yu's murderous intent had directly suppressed Domineering Blade Gu Yi. Not only that, but he also killed his inner disciple, the half-monster Cheong-Chi. Very good, very good. There is actually such a powerful junior. Venerable Chaos Demon's gaze was gentle as he looked at Venerable Wuya. No one could see his anger. Wuya, it seems that your people are very powerful. This old man was blind. No, this junior was fooling around and accidentally killed someone. Please don't take offense, Brother Chaos Demon. Venerable Wuya also smiled in response. These powerhouses on the Divine God list were not easily angered. On the contrary, the calmer they were, the more likely it was that a storm was coming. However, Honorable Wuya knew that even though Honorable Chaos Demon was determined to kill Lin Yu, he couldn't do anything about it. In Sequentian City, A Spirit King Realm cultivator could only act as a deterrent, but he couldn't really make a move. But once they left the Sequencer City, Venerable Wuya was sure that this old man would kill Lin Yu. However, how could he, Venerable Boundless, be someone easy to deal with? Even if this old man wants to take offense, there's nothing I can do about it. You want a Venerable Boundless people. How can this old man really vent his anger on him? Chaos Demon Venerable said with a calm smile. Hiding a dagger in a smile, that was exactly what they meant. Honorable Wuya was too lazy to pay attention to him. He waved his hand towards Lin Yu and shouted, "Let's go in." Lin Yu didn't even look at the half-demon Qi's corpse. Guyi was so scared that he didn't dare to attack. Just as they were about to enter the Sequencer City, another force appeared above the Realm Sea. Just like Boundless Sea and Chaos Demon Sea. Although the three forces came from different places, they were all in a group of three. The female sequence of Purple Cloud Sea is really beautiful. Isn't that so? Such a beauty with such a strong cultivation. I wonder what kind of man is worthy of her. Everyone first saw the three figures from Purple Cloud Sea. The aura of the leader was tyrannical, comparable to that of Venerable Wuya. Lin Yu judged that the other party was definitely a Spirit King Realm Venerable from Purple Cloud Sea. Brother Wuya, Brother Chaos Demon, you're still one step ahead of me. Venerable Zixia greeted him. Behind her was a white-clothed woman and a purple-clothed woman. The two women had a cold expression, and their temperament was firm. But when Lin Yu saw the white-clothed woman, he laughed in his heart. King of Hell, come up and greet. Venerable Zixia signaled the two people behind her to come forward. The purple-clothed woman clasped her hands. She was clearly a woman, but she had the appearance of a man. Purple Cloud sees Azura Palace's female king of hell greets, Venerable Wuya and Venerable Chaos Demon. The white-clothed woman also glanced at Lin Yu, but she knew that this wasn't the best time to recognize him. She bowed and said, Jade Fairy Sex Qin greets Seniors Wuya and Chaos Demon. Haha, when did Venerable Zixia take in two such beautiful women? Venerable Wuya couldn't help but be shocked by the appearance of the two women. Even with his experience, he hadn't seen many people more beautiful than these two, especially Qin. In Venerable Wuya's eyes, her beauty had reached the level of perfection. My Purple Cloud Sea's female disciples' hearts and minds are united. They won't be tainted by the feelings of the secular world. Brother Wuya, don't think too much. Venerable Zixia warned without any trace of politeness. Venerable Wuya just smiled apologetically. What are you saying? I just admire them. How could there be feelings between men and women? His old face turned scarlet. Venerable Zixia's words were so embarrassing. You're so old, yet you still don't control yourself. Venerable Wuya, you're quite the romantic. Two more groups of people arrived. Venerable Vast Expanse, Venerable 9 Serenities. Venerable Zixia clasped his hands in greeting. The Purple Cloud Sea, Boundless Sea, and Chaos Demon Sea were the lower seas. The ones arriving now were the Middle Sea's Vast Expanse and 9 Serenities Sea. Greet them. Venerable Vast Expanse was dressed in a long robe with the demeanor of a transcendent being. He waved his hand, and the two behind him stepped forward. Vast Expanse sees Dao-Seeker Sex 3 lives kill. Vast Expanse sees 10,000 Buddha palaces Shirulai. Greetings, Venerables. The two disciples brought by Venerable Vast Expanse attracted the attention of Lin Yu, Qin and the others. One of them was dressed in a Taoist robe, while the other was a Buddhist. Both of their auras were extremely tyrannical and were not something that Xiongqi and Guyi could match. At the same time, the two of them glanced at the other sequences present. Although there was no obvious expression in their eyes, they retracted their gazes after a single glance. It was clear that no one present was worthy of their attention. You two greet them too. Venerable 9 Serenities was dressed in a black and white robe. He looked both righteous and evil and was somewhat different from ordinary people. Two figures walked out from behind him. Just like venerable nine serenities, they also had a strange appearance. White impermanence of the blue sea tide. Immortal slaying sect Lin Xiao. Greetings, venerables. White impermanence was like half a living corpse, without the slightest hint of vitality. As for the other person, he had a bewitching appearance. His white hair hung behind his back, and his pupils were vertical. However, his appearance caught exalted Wu Ya's attention. "Why does he look exactly like you, kid?" Venerable Wu Ya whispered. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled noncommittally. "Who knows? Interesting, Qin Yi and Lin Xiu were both here, and it seemed that they had both become sequences." Lin Xiu also saw Lin Yu, and their eyes met for a short while. The former raised his eyebrows, seemingly showing off that he had entered the middle seas, and Lin Yu was still in the lower seas. Childish. Chapter 791. Lin Yuan couldn't help but speak up. Lin Yu smirked and naturally wouldn't lower himself to Lin Xiu's level. Ever since Lin Xiu was born, he had always had an instinctive desire to compete with Lin Yu. Lin Yu also acquiesced to this. After all, there would only be improvement when there was competition. As for Lin Yu's true thoughts, Lin Yu knew better than anyone else. Lin Xiu and Lin Yuan were the same. They had a special connection and were no longer two pure individuals. "It seems that the upper sea region is coming soon." Venerable Wu Ya laughed. The five venerables looked at each other and also looked in the direction of the realm sea. There, two forces were approaching at an extremely fast speed. The aura of these two people was so strong that it seemed to suppress the experts from the vast ocean and nine remoteness ocean. "It seems that the few of you have arrived first." The first faction that arrived was a red-haired old man. Behind him were three disciples. Lin Yu guessed that these three people were all sequences. Could it be that the people from the upper sea region could have three sequences? "Greet them," the red-haired old man said coldly. Behind him, two men and a woman bowed at the same time. Xianming Sea Sky, Sea Region Lord Lei Dong. Sword Pavilion Lord Shimen Wuxue. Which tribe Jiufeng? Greetings to the five Sea Lords. These four people were from the upper sea region, Xianming Sea. The person leading them was Venerable Xianming. Venerable Xianming didn't look at the people from the middle and lower sea regions. It seemed that in his eyes, these people weren't worth mentioning. He looked in the direction of the realm sea, and at the same time, the people from the last sea also arrived. "Di Luo, you're still so slow?" Venerable Xianming laughed coldly, and there was some dissatisfaction in his tone. The strongest sea region naturally has to be the finale. The leader was a white-haired old man. He was supposed to have the demeanor of a transcendent being, but Lin Yu could feel an endless chill coming from him. This person had killed many people. Honorable Di Luo naturally wouldn't look at the other echelon cultivators. Just like Honorable Dark Nether, he only paid attention to those from the mysterious Nether Sea. In the eyes of these two upper sea regions, the people from the other sea regions of Realm Sea were no different from trash. Of course, the sovereigns of the vast expanse, nine serenities, Violet Glow, Boundless, and Chaos Devil all sensed what was happening. However, in their eyes, this was already a common occurrence. If the upper sea region looked up to them, then why would the people below need to climb up? Seems like the sequences that Brother Di Luo brought are all very powerful. Haha, Honorable Xianming is too kind. The sequence battle hasn't even started yet. How can these be considered as real sequences? They're just some random titles that the few of us gave them. Venerable Emperor Luo's laughter rang out. The meaning behind his words was obvious. Those present were merely the contestants that they had selected in private. If he wanted to truly occupy the sequence rankings, he would need to go through the baptism of the sequence Emperor City battle. "The three of you, greet the venerables." "Yes, Emperor Falling Sea, Demon God, Laughing Ghost. Evil God, Big Luo. Emperor Falling Sea Fiend, God Jiangyan. Greetings to the six venerables." Xianming and the others nodded politely. As for Honorable Zixia Si, she was the only female venerable. At this moment, her gaze landed on the three sequences that Di Luo brought, and she couldn't help but squint her eyes. These three people's auras were very powerful. You all have to be careful. The people that Xianming Sea and Emperor Falling Sea brought are all in the myriad spirit realm. Qin Yi and Yama nodded at the same time. However, their eyes were also filled with seriousness. How were they going to fight against such powerful opponents? Especially Yama. Her aura was similar to Qin Yi's, but Qin Yi wasn't as nervous as her. This was because she knew that Lin Yu was here. Then, all the Sky Pride experts weren't worth mentioning in front of him. Qin Yi had already confirmed that the winner of this battle was Lin Yu. Even Lin Yu himself might not have thought that it would be so perfect, but Qin Yi had already thought of it for him. This was a feeling of unparalleled recognition and trust. The top experts of Border Sea had already gathered. Other than the supreme ruler of Border Sea, the other 7 venerables were all present. They had also arrived at the entrance of Sequencer City at the same time. My old friends, you're all here? At the entrance of Sequencer City, there were 4 major forces. These 4 groups of people had been waiting for a long time. They had even noticed the battle between Lin Yu and Xiongqi, but they wouldn't stop it. From the perspective of the competitors, they couldn't wait for Lin Yu and Xiongqi to die together. Lin Yu and the others also noticed that the 4 groups of people were wearing different clothes. Behind them, they were waving the battle flags of their respective camps. Dongwang, Nangong, Ximing, Beimhua. These are the 4 major families of Primitive Continent. There are hundreds of millions of living beings in Primitive Continent and tens of millions of sects, but these 4 major families are the strongest. Venerable Wuya explained softly at the side. Under the 4 major families, there are tens of thousands of sects and forces under their jurisdiction. Their forces are much greater than Boundless Sea. Lin Yu nodded. Primitive Continent's territory was larger than Border Sea. Border Sea was divided into 7 major sea regions, with upper, middle, and lower. The strongest were in Profound Underworld and Emperor Fallen Sea region. Boundless Sea, Chaotic Demon Sea, Purple Cloud Sea, and the like could only be in the lower sea region. Regardless of power or territory, they might not be evenly distributed. Hence, Boundless Sea was definitely not even 1/7 of Border Sea. However, the 4 major families were different. They occupied Primitive Continent with a long history. Their territory and fighting power were all top-notch. Even if there were other sects and forces in Primitive Continent that didn't submit any of the 4 major families. According to Lin Yu's judgment, they could be considered 1/5 of Primitive Continent strength. I can see that, Lin Yu said casually. Venerable Wu Ya's face twitched. Although what he said was the truth, he didn't expect this brat to not give him any face. He couldn't be tactful at all. Lin Yu didn't have the mind to care about him. At this moment, his gaze had already landed on the Nangong family. Fan Jinjin should be in the Nangong family now. However, Lin Yu knew he couldn't be too hasty. What he was facing was a colossus. With his current strength, he couldn't fight against it at all. He needed to become a true sequence before gathering his own people to form a new force. As for whether he could fight against the Nangong family, that was a matter for the future. The sequence battle will begin tomorrow. I didn't expect everyone to be so impatient. The leader of the Dongwang family laughed. Venerable Xianming and Emperor Fallen were the 2 strongest venerables in Border Sea. The other venerables didn't even have much room to speak in front of the 2 of them. At this moment, Venerable Xianming took the lead and said, "Young Patriarch Dongwang came out to welcome us. We are also very flattered. However, where did the old Patriarch go? Why didn't he come out?" Chapter 792. Supremacy. Xianming's words were filled with dissatisfaction. Supremacy Di Luo also understood and said, "Haha, the patriarchs of the Nangong family, Ximing family, and Beimhua family are not here. This is interesting. Is the reputation of the 7 supremacies of the realm, sea, so worthless?" The young patriarch of the Dongwang family seemed to have thought of an excuse. The patriarch has a more important guest to wait for, so he is not here. Please forgive him. The people of the Nangong family, Shi Ming family, and Beimhua family all sneered as if they did not care about the anger of the 7 supremacies of the Realm Sea. A more important guest? Supremacy, Xian Ming snorted. Who else can be more important than us 7 supremacies? Young patriarch, are your words the old patriarch's or your own? As soon as he finished speaking, Supremacy Xian Ming's aura exploded. He was an expert on the Divine God list and was ranked much higher than Supremacy Wuya. His combat power was also much higher. Now that Supremacy Xian Ming was angry, the young patriarch of the Dongwang family could not help but change his expression. It was the same for the other 3 families. However, before Supremacy Xian Ming could say a second word, a huge hole suddenly appeared in the sky above the sequencer city. The hole was a cloud vortex. As it continued to spiral, it became bigger and bigger. In the vortex, thunder rumbled. A phoenix bathed in fire opened its arms, as if it could cover half of the sky at will. The ancient Phoenix clan, Supremacy Xian Ming, Supremacy Di Luo, and the others could not help but change their expressions. The phoenix was the protector of the Qian domain. Although it was not the phoenix god who came this time, they had already guessed the origin of the phoenix bathed in fire. It was the descendant of the phoenix god. A few figures appeared on top of the phoenix. These figures did not land at the entrance of the sequencer city. Instead, they went straight to the central area. At the central area of the sequencer city, 4 auras exploded at the same time. Supremacy Xian Ming and the others immediately recognized them. The 4 auras belonged to the top experts on the Divine God list. The patriarchs of the Dongwang family, Nangong family, Shi Ming family, and Beimhua family were all waiting in the central area. Obviously, the person on the phoenix's back was the more important person mentioned by the young patriarch of Dongwang Empire. The people of Tian, you have gone too far. Xian Ming and the others narrowed their eyes and directly entered the sequencer city. There were 8 people standing on the back of the phoenix. Those few should be your opponents, said Yi Futian. One of the 4 people in the lead said, with a bit of laziness. His gaze landed on the entrance of Sequencing Emperor City. Over there were sequencing participants from Realm Sea. When his voice was heard, the 4 people behind him didn't even look at him. It seems that the 4 of you are very confident. The leader spoke again, his tone somewhat cold. Priest of Light, please calm down. The 4 of them knelt down at the same time. The divine Priest of Light isn't angry. He's just teaching you. The other man also spoke. This person's clothes were pitch black and did not seem to be made of ordinary cloth. The pitch black clothes seemed to contain the feeling of the rotation of the stars. If a mortal were to see this, they would definitely think that this person was wearing starfield. After the man finished speaking, the 4 people behind him stood up, trembling with fear. They were no longer as arrogant as before. Why are you scaring these children? When the light divine priest heard this, he glanced at the dark divine priest who asked the question. If they continue like this, they might pay the price for their arrogance. The people of Realm Sea and Primitive Continent have been evenly matched with our heaven region for many years. How could they be as simple as they seem? All right. The divine priest of light is right. The divine priest of darkness was a little impatient with his words. The 2 people on the other side looked at each other and smiled, as if they were watching a play. You two, don't relax. Although we can't fight in Sequencing Emperor City, we still need to maintain our dignity. The divine priest of light looked at the other 2 people and said, Do you see? The patriarchs of the 4 families of Primitive Continent have begun to welcome us. His gaze fell on the 4 pillars of light that shot up into the sky. Are they welcoming us or shouting? A sharp light flashed in the eyes of the divine priest of darkness. But in the next moment, he sensed something and sent his divine will to the entrance of Sequencing Emperor City. The people of Realm Sea had already entered deeper. Only the people of Primitive Continent and some mortals were left here. But the divine priest of darkness's divine will was still echoing. What's wrong, divine priest of darkness? The 4 people leading Xianyu were the divine priest of light and divine priest of darkness, as well as the divine priest of wind and divine priest of lightning. In addition to the 4 sequencers, there were only 8 people. This lineup seemed small, but it wasn't that Qian Yu didn't have enough sequencers. It represented Qian Yu's arrogance. Qian Yu's goal was to occupy the top 4 spots with the fewest people. The divine priest of darkness has the sharpest divine will. Let him be. The divine priest of light closed his eyes. The phoenix slowly descended. Outside sequencing Emperor City, the divine priest of darkness's divine will had already locked onto the place where Lin Yu and Xiongqi had fought. What he cared about wasn't Xiongqi, but a black feather on Xiongqi's body that didn't belong to him. That guy, he's back. The divine priest of darkness's divine will retracted. The divine priest of wind and divine priest of lightning immediately asked about the situation. Nothing, I was mistaken. The divine priest of darkness closed his mouth and didn't answer. Then the others didn't continue to ask. Now that the phoenix had landed and the clan leaders of the 4 major families had come in person, they knew it was not the time to find out. The 4 divine priests have come to sequencing Emperor City in person. I'm sorry I didn't go out to greet you. The one who spoke was the current clan leader of the Donghuang family, Donghuang Taishan. At this moment, under the leadership of Donghuang Taishan, the other 3 major families also walked out of the light pillar and came to the front of the phoenix. Facing the aura of the phoenix, the 4 of them couldn't help but feel nervous. This bastard's cultivation was at the spiritual king realm. The descendant of the number 1 on the demon god list was indeed extraordinary. Arrange a place for Lord Sky Phoenix to stay. Donghuang Taishan immediately arranged. The people of the 4 major families went to prepare. However, after sending the 8 people from the heavenly region to the heavenly region, the phoenix flapped its wings and flew to another place. Lord Sky Phoenix has other things to do. The divine priest of light spoke first. In that case, the 8 of you can go first. Donghuang Taishan wanted to exchange some pleasantries. However, the divine priest of darkness waved his hand and said with a smile, "Don't waste time. We are ordered to come here for the sequencing battle. When everyone is here, you can directly announce the selection method of the sequencing battle." Donghuang Taishan didn't expect the divine priest of darkness to be so decisive. Before he could speak, several figures had flown over from afar. Chapter 793. Hee hee. Old Donghuang, you sent a few juniors to pick us up? Are you looking down on the people of Border Sea? The first to arrive was Honorable Xianming. Behind him were Di Luo, Song Meng, and the others. Lin Yu followed behind Honorable Wuya. Seeing these big shots chasing each other, he did not get involved. He only glanced at Qinyi on the way. It was not that he was impatient, but Qinyi was more impatient than him. Why do you pay so much attention to the people of Boundless Sea? The female Yama of Purple Cloud Sea asked. He's handsome, Qin-Yi said casually. The female Yama's face twitched. It was her first time hearing Qin-Yi say that a man was handsome. Usually, Purple Cloud Sea was a world where women were superior to men. No man could enter their eyes. This was especially true for Qin-Yi. After spending some time with her, Qin-Yi was even more aloof than her. She didn't even bother to look at men. Why was she so lustful today? However, when everyone arrived, Qin-Yi also looked away. The female Yama could not say anything. In front of them, the experts of divine ranking were gathered. There was no room for them to speak. When the juniors could only stand behind them, Donghuang Taishan smiled and said, Brother Xianming, how have you been? Oh, Brother Di Luo is here too. I can't leave. As the master of the Sequence Emperor City, I should focus on the sequence battle. Donghuang Taishan said casually. The 4 heavenly officials of Qinyu brought the sequence rule of 6-winged Divine King. I have to understand the rule before I can pick you up. All right, I understand. Honorable Zixia Si did not want to listen to such fake words. Just like how the people of the Upper Sea looked down on the people of the Middle Sea. The people of the 4 families also looked down on the 7 honorables who were weaker than them. If it was really as Donghuang Taishan said, then wouldn't it be great to let the 2 clan leaders welcome the people of Qinyu and the 2 clan leaders welcome the people of Border Sea? However, the situation now was that the four clan leaders were gathered here to welcome the people of Chinyu. Instead, they ignored the people of Border Sea. Since everyone is here, let's begin. Heaven Domain's people didn't like socializing, especially towards people from the primitive continent and Realm C. Even though the three realms were safe and sound, in terms of power, they were evenly matched on the surface. However, in the eyes of the people of the Heaven Domain, the primitive continent and Realm C were still high and mighty. That was because the person ranked first on the Heavenly God list was the six-winged Divine King from the Heaven region. The number one on the Demon God list was also the Phoenix God of the Heaven region. Based on these 2 points, if the first place on the sequence list was taken by the Qingyun realm again, why would the Qingyun realm be on equal footing with the two realms? Hearing the Divine Light Priest's words, everyone stopped arguing. Linyu was at the back. Although he couldn't see their faces clearly, he could tell their relationship from their words. It seemed like the Heaven Domain was still the strongest, requesting the God King's decree. The Divine Priest of Light walked to the highest point of the Sequencer City and looked down. He raised his hands again and propped them up between heaven and earth. A shocking aura erupted from his hands. The aura was so strong that it instantly suppressed the light pillar formed by the four clan leaders. This scene caused the faces of the four great clan leaders to darken. This was a classic example of a demonstration of strength against them. After not seeing him for 1,000 years, the Divine Priest of Light's power has become even stronger. The era of us old fellows has passed. Whether we can win against the people of the Heaven Domain in the future will depend on the younger generation. Shi Ming and Bei Mo clan leader said one after another. The Nangong clan leader's face was gloomy. If it wasn't for the fact that my Nangong clan's devouring starry sky divine ability was taken away by that unfilial girl, why would this old man be under someone else? He scolded in his heart. At this moment, in the sky, following the Divine Priest of Light's summon, a black light formed in the sky. The black light split into six, like six huge black wings, and the entire sky darkened. God King's phantom, even those sovereigns who were also experts on the Heavenly God list, couldn't help but feel shocked when they saw the six-winged phantom. Under the God King's phantom, everyone in the Sequencer City felt an unprecedented tyrannical pressure. As the pressure descended, people knelt down one after another. Damn the six-winged God King. Venerable Weia gritted his teeth in front of Linyu, and his whole body slowly bent down. The six-winged God King didn't come in person, but just a phantom, and it already wanted them to kneel down. However, even though Exalted Boundless had the heart to resist before that illusory figure, his feet still suffered a huge pressure, and with a bang, he knelt on the ground. Not only Venerable Wuya, everyone in the Realm C, including the strongest two, Xian Ming and Di Luo, as well as Lin Yuan, Lin Xiao, and Qin Yi, were all forced to kneel under that phantom. The patriarchs of the four great clans, as well as the other people of the primitive continent, also knelt down. At this moment, beside the four great clans, Lin Yu noticed a few small forces. According to the symbols on the battle flags, they came from the Ghost Realm, Demon Realm, Western Shumi Sect, Demon Sect, and Dong Shang Taoism of the primitive continent. These people should be the other forces of the primitive continent. These five forces combined could barely match the lineup of the four great clans. And these people also knelt down. Without exception, everyone in front of Lin Yu knelt down under the six-winged phantom. Even at the highest point, the Divine Priest of Light who summoned the phantom also knelt down in the air. In the heavens and the earth, only the six-winged God King reigned supreme. And at this moment, only one person did kneel down. He was Lin Yu. On Lin Yu's body, He Yu's voice burst out in a shrill voice. It's him! It's him! Hold on for me, Lin Yu said coldly. The pressure on his body was originally the same as the others, but because of He Yu, it was completely offset. Is the phantom of the six-winged God King so powerful? Lin Yu displayed an incomparably tyrannical desire. It was a desire to become stronger. This phantom that could make all the echelon present, even the heavenly god, list experts kneel down, was what he really wanted. Lin Yu's position was too far back, and when everyone knelt on the ground, it was difficult for them to raise their heads to look at the others. So at this moment, no one noticed that Lin Yu was standing. Soon, from the six-winged phantom, came a voice that was as majestic as the heavenly Tao. The leader of the 10-direction world is the first echelon. The rest are ranked according to the territory. Only this one sentence. As the voice fell, the six-winged phantom changed again. In front of the phantom, in the sky above the sequencer city, a giant stone gate appeared. Chapter 794. The stone gate appeared in the air, towering above the clouds, as if it was a door to the heavens. However, on the stone door, there were 3 large words written in the style of dragons and snakes. 10 Square World. The sequence battle will start in 10 Square World. Strange, I thought the battle would start in the Sequence Emperor City. Looks like the Divine King has a different plan this time. The experts on the Heavenly God ranking were surprised. The entrance to 10 Square World had stabilized. It was just that it hadn't opened yet. The six-winged Divine King's aura disappeared. Everyone stood up as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. Lin Yu stretched his back to avoid suspicion that he didn't kneel at all. As for the others, their faces were solemn. Clearly, the six-winged Divine King's aura had stirred up their desire to become experts, just like Lin Yu. Only by seeing a true powerhouse would these people have a greater motivation to become stronger. 10 Square World will open tomorrow, and the sequence battle will begin then. The Divine Priest of Light announced again. The others nodded. Divine Priest, what should we do in 10 Square World? The one who spoke was someone from the monster world. I am Bai Jio. The Divine King has said that we will be assigned according to the rankings of our territories. The Divine Priest of Light's cold voice sounded. Clearly, he thought these people from the monster world were ignorant. They didn't understand a single word. Bai Jio frowned. What's the meaning of territories? Are we going to fight for territories in 10 Square World, just like how mortals call themselves kings? That's right. The Divine Priest of Light nodded. The other sequence cultivators below couldn't help but breathe faster. Fighting for territories and seizing other treasures to earn points was even crueler. If one only fought for Fortune Realm treasures, they could hide and wait for the end of the competition. They were much stronger in terms of self-defense. However, territories were different. If one person's territory was too big, or if the person with it was too weak, then they would face an inescapable war. After all, territories couldn't be stored in a storage ring like treasures. After learning the rules of the sequence battle in 10 Square World, the sequence cultivators and the older generation couldn't help but feel nervous for their own people. If they went in, it might be a dead end. Master, can I reconsider? Yes, Venerable One. I don't want to die. Patriarch, can I just hide after going in? Many sequence beyonders with weak wills were already showing signs of cowardice. These people's cultivation levels might not be weak, but if their Tao hearts weren't firm enough, coupled with the murderous aura of the other echelon opponents, thinking in the direction of stability, it was better to just live. At least for now, they were already the top geniuses of their respective factions. There was no need for them to kill each other like this. Trash! How can we cultivators be so cowardly? Are you really satisfied with your current state? Let me tell you, everything you have now was given to you by this old man. This old man can abolish your sequence position at any time. We cannot retreat from this battle. If we retreat, we will become a laughingstock to the other forces. Our Western Sumeru religion cannot afford to lose this face. That's right. We might not be a match for the people from the 4 great clans, Heaven Region, and Realm Sea, but our Dongsheng Dao sect can still fight against those from the Ghost Domain and Demon Domain. They didn't cower, so how can we cower? Many people had already begun to comfort their own sequences. In the direction of Lin Yu, Venerable Wuya originally wanted to comfort Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with a few words. But when he looked back, he saw that Lin Yuan had closed his eyes and was breathing steadily. Damn, Did he fall asleep listening to the instant rules? Venerable Wu Ya's old face twitched, and he looked at Lin Yu again. He saw that the kid's eyes were dull, and he seemed to be frightened. Finally, there was a normal reaction. When Venerable Wu Ya thought that he should comfort Lin Yu, he took a closer look and saw that Lin Yu seemed to be talking to himself, and the corners of his mouth were inexplicably raised. Crazy? Venerable Wu Ya thought in his heart. It's over this time. Neither of the two people he brought was normal. He didn't know. Lin Yu was laughing at Hey Yu at this moment. I didn't expect you to be able to resist the pressure of the six-winged God King. Interesting. If it weren't for my incomplete physical body, the six-winged God King would be nothing more than this. Don't brag. Recuperate in peace. Lin Yu laughed. He could resist the pressure of the six-winged God King with the help of Hey Yu's power. He became the only person present who didn't need to kneel. He was still very surprised. Although he had the system, the six-winged God King was the #1 existence on the divine list. In other words, he was the #1 in the 3 realms, the strongest person in the world. And Hey Yu could actually resist his pressure. Even if the God King didn't come in person, Lin Yu believed that it was definitely not a simple matter to resist the pressure. The number of people in the 3 realms and 5 regions who could resist the pressure of the six-winged God King might not even reach 5 fingers. Unfortunately, Hey Yu was also injured because of this. In this regard, Lin Yu was even more curious about Hey Yu's origin. He once saw the six-winged God King's totem in the Despair Abyss. At that time, the feathers on the edge of the God King were the same as Hey Yu's, but there were some differences. Venerable. Lin Yu suddenly looked at Venerable Wu Ya. I didn't scold you. Venerable Wu Ya was stunned for a moment before regaining his senses. Why did you call me? Lin Yu didn't know what this old man was thinking. Previously, Venerable Wu Ya had always been a supreme figure in the boundless sea, cold and deep. But after coming to the Sequencer City, in front of so many people on the divine list, Lin Yu only felt that this guy's feeling had changed. He was exactly like a younger brother. Are the feathers particular? Lin Yu casually asked. When he saw the people from the heaven region come down, he had already noticed their feathers. It was different. The light god priest and darkness god priest had purple wings. The wind god and thunder god had blue wings. As for the others, they only had gray and white wings. Of course there are. The color of the feathers determines the potential of the people from the heaven region. Venerable Wu Ya stood with his hands behind his back. He knew that there were things that Lin Yu didn't understand, so he immediately assumed the attitude of an expert. White, gray, red, blue, purple. The people of the heaven region usually have these 5 colors. When the people of the heaven region turn 16, they will awaken their wings. The wings represent their potential. White wings are the weakest, while purple wings are the strongest. After Lin Yu heard this, he immediately understood. But he still asked, then what about black wings? Shoo! Venerable Wu Ya's expression immediately tensed up. Don't talk nonsense about black wings. Since ancient times, there have only been 2 people with black wings in the heaven region. They have the strongest aptitude. Black wings represent that they will definitely become divine kings and can enjoy all the resources of the heaven region. Venerable Wu Ya's eyes were filled with envy. Even purple wings like the light god priest and darkness god priest have the highest authority under divine kings. This is the rule of the heaven region. They're extremely strict with the allocation of resources. The younger generation without potential don't even need to live, let alone enjoy resources. But for those blue wings, purple wings, and even the slightly weaker red wings, they will use all the resources to nurture them. Lin Yu saw that he was getting further and further away. He wasn't interested in the other colors. The current 6-winged divine king is a black wing, right? Just now, others couldn't see it, but Lin Yu didn't kneel. He saw the 6-winged divine king's color clearly. Not only was it black, it was also 6 wings. That's right. Other than the 6-winged divine king, there are no other black wings in the heaven region. Venerable Wu Ya's words made Lin Yu suspicious. Chapter 795. Apart from his 6-winged divine king, There were no black-winged level powerhouses in the Heaven Domain. Then where did his Heiyu come from? Lin Yu also obtained some answers from Heiyu previously. In Heiyu's perception, he seemed to have another main body, and this main body existed in this world. As for the specific location, the current Heiyu still did not know. But Lin Yu was certain that Heiyu and the Heaven Domain were definitely related. After the light divine priest of the Heaven Domain finished announcing the results, he also observed the changes in this 10-square world. There is still one day before the 10-square world opens. Tomorrow, all the sequences will enter the 10-square world. A commanding tone came over. After announcing this, the light divine priest already went to his residence, accompanied by the 4 great family patriarchs. Accompanying them were naturally the darkness divine priest, wind god, and thunder god. It was just that the darkness divine priest was different from the light divine priest. His attention had always been on the core area of the Sequencer Emperor's city, the place where those sequences were gathered. The aura just now, was it that kid? The darkness divine priest narrowed his eyes slightly. No one noticed his gaze. Different from the light divine priest's swift and decisive actions, the darkness divine priest's entire person was like a dense fog, making people unable to fathom him. And also because he did not like to talk, he always gave people a feeling of being 1,000 miles away. So the 4 great family patriarchs could only respectfully accompany him. No one dared to go up and talk to him. As for the 7 great venerables of the Realm C, they also headed to the Sequencer Emperor's city's guest hall together. Venerable Wuya and the rest were in front. That was the place where the divine list powerhouses spoke. As for them, these sequences they could only follow behind. Lin Yu was still pondering about Heiyu's origin. It was a pity that even Venerable Wuya was not clear about more information. The information he brought to Lin Yu was that there was only one black-winged level powerhouse in the Heaven Domain. That was the 6-winged Divine King. Lin Yu did not need to ask about Heiyu's origin and knew that Venerable Wuya did not know. After entering the 10-square world, "Shall we go together?" A voice came from Lin Yu's side. That was Lin Xiao, who knew when he came over. He and Lin Yuan walked with Lin Yu, one on the left and one on the right. Lin Xiao glanced at both sides with a guilty look as though he was afraid of exposing his identity. "Are you a thief?" The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. Looking at this comical operation, he felt that it was funny. The walls have ears. That's enough. Anyone can see you in broad daylight. Lin Yu said helplessly. He was a living person talking to Lin Xiao, and the latter seemed to want to not be discovered. Did he think that everyone else was blind? That's true. Lin Xiao coughed dryly and regained his composure as he swaggered and asked. After entering, "Let's go together." "Sure." Lin Yu nodded, and Lin Xiao handed him a scroll. At the same time, he continued to look around. "Actually, if you're more natural, you won't be easily discovered." "Really?" Lin Xiao felt that Lin Yu's words made sense and continued. "There's information about the 9 Nether Ocean inside. The one who came with me is the 9 Nether Ocean's blue tide, white impermanence. His cultivation is not bad." "How about compared to you?" Lin Yu asked directly. "I can't compare to you." "Then I'm not afraid." Lin Xiao suddenly felt that he was insulted by Lin Yu. "Do you have information about other seas?" Lin Yu asked again. "I don't have those." "I do." A quiet voice came from behind the 3 of them. It turned out that Qin Yi had followed them. Beside her was a female disciple who also came from the Purple Cloud Sea. If Lin Yu remembered correctly, she should have called herself the female king of hell just now. It was a rather domineering name, and looking at her appearance, she was also very domineering, cold, and unapproachable. Lin Yu was interested in learning more about such a woman, but now was not the right time. Why did you give it to him?" The female king of hell looked over and gossiped. Just now, Qin Yi said that she wanted to send something over, so she followed because she was worried that Qin Yi would be bullied by these stinky men. But she did not expect that the thing Qin Yi sent out was actually information about other seas. "It took you a long time to sort it out. Why did you give it to him?" The female king of hell asked again. Qin Yi pressed her lily-white hand on her lips and shushed her. "It's okay, he's worth it. After receiving the information scroll, Lin Yu scanned it with his divine sense, then returned it to Qin Yi. Finished reading? And Big Brother Lin Yu is still so fast. Lin Yu felt that he was insulted by Qin Yi. Lin Xiao and Lin Yuan at the side did not understand the conversation between the two, but when they saw Lin Yu's expression twitch, Lin Xiao's breathing became lighter. Then you have the information of dozens of forces in there. How did you finish reading it in an instant? The female king of hell asked in surprise. I used my brain. Lin Yu did not even look at her and whispered to Qin Yi. That female disciple from Purple Cloud Sea is so beautiful. Yes, they are simply fairies from heaven. I wonder if the goddesses of the heaven domain are as beautiful as them. I think the women of the heaven domain are just SOSO. These two are from our world C, which means that the women of our world C are the most beautiful in the 3 realms and 5 regions. It's a pity. What's a pity? The surrounding sequences discussed a few words, and their eyes fell on Lin Yu at the same time. It's a pity that the toad has eaten the swan's meat. How did this brat do it? To have 2 such peerless beauties follow him, especially that woman in white. Her actions are so intimate with him. Damn it. Lin Yu did not notice that he had unknowingly attracted a lot of hatred. This was also because Qin Yi was simply too beautiful and could not keep a low profile. Our residence is over there. The female king of hell pulled Qin Yi away. Under Lin Yu's signal, the latter also obediently separated from the 3 of them and went to Purple Cloud Sea's exclusive area. Mine is here. Lin Xiao also went to the area of 9 secluded sea. Only Lin Yu and Lin Yuan came to the area of the boundless sea at the same time. There was no one inside, and it seemed that there was no arrangement of guards in the Sequencer City. Lin Yu knew that this was because the people in the Sequencer City at this moment were all top powerhouses on the Divine God list. No one would be blind enough to make trouble in the Sequencer City, so there was no need for guards here at all. Venerable Wu Ya should not be back yet. It was getting late. Lin Yu asked Lin Yuan to find a room to rest in, while he also chose a room. However, when he stood at the door of the room, the system's voice suddenly came. An invincible opponent has been detected beside the host. Automatic injury recovery is activated. Lin Yu frowned. This was the first time the system had such a reaction in history, even in the Sky Desert universe. When he faced Ling Xiao with his realm at that time, the system did not give such a reminder. Lin Yu turned his head and knew that the person who appeared this time was the strongest existence he had ever encountered. There, a black-armored figure with 4 purple wings on his back appeared like a ghost. At this moment, he stood with his hands behind his back and stared at Lin Yu. He was the Dark Priest. Chapter 796. The Dark Priest had appeared personally. He was an expert on the Heavenly God ranking. In Lin Yu's opinion, his combat ability far surpassed that of Venerable Wu Ya. Lin Yu knew that he couldn't defeat such an existence. But with the system, he might have a chance to escape by using the advantage of regenerating his injuries. Are you looking for me? Lin Yu turned around and met the Dark Priest's gaze. Profound, reserved. He couldn't see any fluctuations. The Dark Priest's gaze was the most powerful that Lin Yu had seen in the past 100,000 years. The Dark Priest also seemed to show great interest in Lin Yu the moment he saw him. I'm here to look for you, but also not to look for you. The voice of the Dark Divine Priest sounded lazy and domineering at the same time. He gave Lin Yu a feeling. If the Dark Priest didn't care about something, then he was languid. If he cared, then he would show the domineering side that he had been hiding. This person was immovable like a mountain, but when he moved, the world would collapse. This was the dignity of a top expert. Speak clearly. Lin Yu's calm voice sounded. He had been reset for 100,000 years and had experienced too many deaths. So even if the Dark Priest gave him an unprecedented sense of threat, but Lin Yu's temperament was still not shaken. And he knew very well that a shaken temperament represented everything. As long as his temperament and Tao heart were indestructible, Lin Yu could solve any problem. Looks like you're not afraid of me. The Dark Priest didn't get angry. Instead, he seemed to admire Lin Fan. But even so, Lin Yu was still vigilant. After all, this was the first time the system had warned him of danger. I have a clear conscience. Why should I be afraid? Lin Yu spread out his hands and raised the corner of his mouth. The Dark Priest couldn't help but look at Lin Yu a few more times. Forget it. I'm here for that thing on your body. What? Just as Lin Yu's voice fell, a space-time pressure that he had never felt before suddenly appeared. This feeling made Lin Yu feel as if time around him had slowed down by thousands of times. Time had no feelings. However, it was his telepathic thoughts and his constitution that became sluggish. In other words, the speed at which Lin Yu spoke was now thousands of times slower. Even when he wanted to raise his hand, his movements were terrifyingly slow. He was infinitely close to being unable to move. With his vision, he could clearly see that the Dark High Priest was approaching him at a terrifying speed. Lin Yu knew that it wasn't because the other party's movement technique was too fast, but because his vision was also affected. His time. It had been slowed down. Under such circumstances, even if he summoned the system, it would be too late. The Dark Divine Official was one of the top rankers on the Divine ranking list. This was the first time Lin Yu felt such terrifying power. Old friend, I know you're here. The voice of the Dark Priest sounded. Lin Yu couldn't hear this sentence at first. However, the next moment, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Detected the host's desire for power. System upgrade begins. System upgrade completed. Third skill unlocked. Time speed. Eternal host. Lin Yu. System skills. Space-time reset. Space-time overlay. Time speed. In an instant, the space-time pressure around Lin Yu disappeared. However, he didn't move, because he wanted to know why the Dark Priest had come. Soon, Hey Yu, who was in Lin Yu's body, moved. This was one of the rare times that Hey Yu appeared on his own. Under normal circumstances, Hey Yu would only appear to help when Lin Yu summoned him. However, now, a pair of black wings appeared on Lin Yu's back. It's really you, old friend. Your injuries. The Dark Priest was halfway through his sentence when he smiled again. It seems that you haven't recovered yet. It's been 1,000,000 years since you left Tianyu, right? Hey Yu didn't answer, but Lin Yu could sense that Hey Yu was a little confused at this moment. He didn't understand the Dark Priest's words, but it wasn't that he didn't understand at all. The Dark Priest seemed to be gradually unlocking his memories. Who are you? Hey Yu's voice was old and full of surprise. It seems that you haven't recovered your memories. The Dark Priest smiled. When he was talking to Hey Yu, he didn't hide his arrogance like before. Instead, he was more emotional. Lin Yu was even more curious about Hey Yu's background to be able to make such an expert show his emotions. Fine, you can recuperate in this kid's body. When you return to your peak, we'll have a drink together. The Dark Priest let out a long sigh. The position of Divine King doesn't belong to Six-Winged. I still want your master to come back. Old friend, the young Divine King disappeared with you in Tianyu. Do you know where he is? Time seemed to have stopped. Lin Yu didn't move. After the Dark Priest finished speaking, Hey Yu also fell into deep silence. After a long time, Hey Yu replied, I know. After he finished speaking, he didn't say anything else. It seemed that even Hey Yu was a little surprised that he would say such a thing. Where is the young Divine King? A light flashed in the Dark Priest's eyes. He didn't care about other things, but when it came to the young Divine King, it seemed to attract his attention greatly. There was another moment of dead silence. Lin Yu continued to pretend that he was restrained. He also wanted to know if the Dark Priest could make Hey Yu tell him more about the secrets of Tianyu and Hey Yu himself. Lin Yu vaguely felt that it had something to do with him. It was a pity. Hey Yu didn't say anything else. It seems that you still don't believe me. The Dark Priest shook his head. Do you know that I've already done my best 1,000,000 years ago? The young Divine King has been free for too long and doesn't care about the power of Tianyu. He doesn't know that Six-Winged has been jealous of him for a long time. Tianyu already has a black-winged divine son. At that time, how could he allow another divine son to appear? Even if the other black-winged divine son is his younger brother, even if the old Divine King had already decided to pass the position of Divine King to the young divine king. The dark priest fell in his silence. Forget it. One day, when the young divine king returns, he will understand me. Old friend, live well. After the dark priest finished speaking, Lin Yu suddenly felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. It was a feeling that he had never felt before. It seemed that the pain didn't belong to him, but to He Yu. However, when he observed He Yu in his body, Lin Yu felt a little lost. The dark priest walked to the door. Just when Lin Yu thought that he was going to leave, the dark priest removed the time burden. However, when his divine thought landed on Lin Yu, he showed a surprised expression for the first time. You've already dispelled my 9 powers technique? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.